New York Giant fans. Been a while, man. I'm glad to see some of my New York Giant subscribers in the chat. I haven't done a live stream in a bit because, quite frankly, after the draft, a couple weeks after, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. Kind of waiting until training camp gets underway. We're going to be doing a ton of these midday live streams throughout the season, along with the Talk of Giants show, which will be probably starting in a couple of days. I told Bad Dog around August 1st, August 2nd. I'm going to be in Atlantic City tomorrow for the NBA draft. But I'll be back shortly after that. We'll definitely get that Talk of Giants show up and running at night as well. Know you guys like the midday shows, especially for people that are at work. During the summer, kids are off school. So I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Obviously, today was the first day of practices for the New York Giants. They reported to training camp yesterday. Today was the first day of practices. Joe Judge has them going hard. They've been running 40-yard dashes, 20-yard dashes. You know how Joe Judge is. In terms of the news that came out today, Galladay was out there. He was catching passes from, of course, his quarterback, Daniel Jones. But the big news was Kelvin Benjamin got cut from the team. Kelvin Benjamin was there for a day, and he's been cut. And not to say that I thought Kelvin Benjamin was going to make this team. I didn't. Obviously, I thought it was an uphill battle with some of the talent we got at that tight end position, but didn't even make day 2 of training camp for the New York Giants. So I think it just goes to show you that Joe Judge is no nonsense. Dave Gettleman's no nonsense. They know what they want. In a way, it might be beneficial for Benjamin because now maybe he could sign on with a team that maybe he could crack the roster. But we'll have to wait and see. But let me just say hello to everybody, to everybody in the chat. If I do bounce out, my computer should be fixed within a couple of days. Hopefully when I get back from Atlantic City is my older computer. So if I do bounce out, I'll quickly pop back in. But let me say hello to everybody in the chat. What's going on, Word? What's going on, Ordinary Pete? Moose in the chat. Roldy in the chat. Robert in the chat. Noam in the chat. Waterworld in the chat. Mike in the chat. Anthony in the chat. The Girl Who Talks Sports in the chat. Ordinary Pete in the chat. Thank you to everybody for being here. MVP, Julian Love, Ethan, Spin City, Eric Harrison, Cole Gordon, Max, Frozo, Bark Nasty, Corey in the chat. Waterworld in the chat. Jake, thank you so much for being here. Yuri, Zion, Tyler, thank you guys so much for being here. I know you guys are excited, as excited as I am for this upcoming season. Obviously, the New York Giants did a lot. We'll talk about it. I'm sure you guys will have some questions and just hang out for a couple hours and talk New York Giants football. That's what this is all about. True Rapless, man, thank you very much, man. Going to be a great year. I'm seeing New York versus Miami at Miami. I think that's going to be one of the better games on the schedule this year. I think we're two pretty evenly matched teams, and I actually think the Giants stand a pretty good chance to beat Miami. I'm not a big believer in Tua Tagovailoa. You got two head coaches that are pretty familiar with each other. I think it's going to be a good game. I think both teams are pretty evenly matched. That should be a really good game that you're going to, and you don't really have to worry about weather. It won't be too cold there. Jorge, man, what's going on, my man? Kersley in the chat, man, what's going on, buddy? Word. Michael, man, what's going on, man? It's popping right now. What's going on, Kersley, man? I'm glad everybody is excited as I am. Listen, man, the Giants had a really active offseason, the most active offseason they've had since 2016. So there's going to be a lot of pressure that comes with that. I've talked about it several times that I think it was the right time to do it for the main reason being that Daniel Jones is still on his rookie salary. You got to try to take advantage of that. But I think it's going to be a fun season this year. I think it's the first season that we really going in have solid expectations for the first time since I've been on YouTube. 2018, I thought they could be pretty good. But this year, I think they could legitimately be a solid playoff team if some things go their way. So we'll see. McCann, man, what's going on, man? Thanks for popping in, buddy. James in the chat. I'm going to be the Giants. I'm going to that game as well, Kingzo. And I'm going to be at FanFest, which I can't wait to go to as well. Hopefully I get to meet some of you guys there for that. I'll be at FanFest. I'm going to be in the parking lot at like 3 o'clock. We're going to be doing a pregame show with Talk of Giants, license plate guy, everybody else. So, but I'm definitely going to that Giants-Eagles game. So it should be a lot of fun, Kingzo. Super Taj, what's going on, man? Trying to get the Carolina game. They're giving out. I saw that. The Girl Who Talks Sports. Giants girl in Florida, what's going on? Glad to see you. I saw that that they're doing a Marvel comic giveaway. It seems like the Giants are doing some giveaways this year for all their games, which they don't normally do, at least to my knowledge, but that's pretty cool. NY Giants 26, man, what's going on, buddy? Montauk, what's going on, buddy? NY Giants 26 says, Chris, your tweet was too funny today. Michael Thomas out for the Saints versus the Giants. I think we have a strong chance to win that. Yeah, I talked about that on Twitter a couple of days ago as well. And I think the Giants, and, it's early. It's early. But I think the Giants, a lot of how you do in the NFL is how you catch your breaks. And I think the Giants, at least early on in the schedule, they caught some breaks, right? The Atlanta Falcons traded away Julio Jones. Now we received word that Michael Thomas is going to be out for the Week 4, more than likely. I don't want to say definitely, but sounds like he's going to be out for the Week 4 matchup against the New York Giants. You don't know what Jameis Winston's going to look like. So it at least looks like going into the year that the New York Giants are catching some breaks with their early schedule, but we'll see. But I think that's great news. Obviously, it's not great news that he's hurt, but it's great news that I think the New York Giants are catching some breaks because normally we don't early on in the schedule. And I think a lot of it, how a team does in the regular season, has to do with how you get off, what kind of start you get off to. Yuri, man, thank you very much, man. Does the Saints game give us a better chance to win? Well, yeah. I mean, without Michael Thomas, obviously we have a better chance to win. Now, I think I said it in my prediction video, Yuri. I'm not sleeping on the New Orleans Saints. I still think they have one of the best coaches in football in Sean Payton. They still have arguably the best offensive line in the sport. They still have talent on defense. They still have Alvin Kamara. Jameis Winston's a quarterback that I think has talent, and maybe with the pieces around him could prove that he could win. The Saints have proven the last 2 years when Breeze has been out of the lineup with quarterbacks like Teddy Bridgewater that they could still win football games. So I'm not sleeping on the Saints. New Orleans is a tough place to play, but I definitely think it's a more winnable game with their best wide receiver out of the lineup. So, yeah, I think we have a decent shot. When I look at the Giants' schedule right now, I think 3-2 is fair. Like, I'll be disappointed if the Giants don't start 3-2. I'm not saying that I'd be shocked if they go in 2-3, but I think 3-2 is reasonable expectations going into the year to start the first 5 games. And obviously, you hope they go 4-1 or 5-0, but I think 3-2 is obtainable. Our 2 easiest games outside of the division, in my opinion, are in our first 3 games. Home against Atlanta, home against Denver. And I froze, by the way. It'll be back in a second. I'm not sleeping on either one of those teams. I think obviously Atlanta has a very good offense. I think Denver has a very good defense. But at home, I think those are games that the New York Giants should win. Roldy, man, what's going on, buddy? He says, what up, Chris? I miss annoying you. Another me should be fun. Hope you're having a good summer so far. Is it me or is there new subs up in here? I hope so, man. Hey, man, I needed the summer off. I wanted to relax when there wasn't a lot to talk about. I enjoyed some Met games, enjoyed my summer, went to the beach a couple of times. And Roldy, man, glad to see you back. Thank you to everybody for being back. We're going to be talking Giants football nonstop once there's stuff to talk about. I'm going to have daily videos up for you guys when I can, when there's something, when there's something worth talking about in season. Like I said, midday streams, I'll be live at least twice a week. Probably like a Tuesday, Friday type thing. And if you guys like it, maybe we'll do it 3 days a week. We'll see. But obviously going to be doing the Talking Giants show, still live streaming all the Giants games. And I can't wait for the season to get underway, man. I hope you're doing well, Roldy. Jorge, man, what's going on, buddy? Nice to have you back. Love the content. Go Daniel Jones. Second year, same offense. I'm with you on that. Daniel Jones, and we all know going into this year, Daniel Jones is the biggest, X factor for this team, right? Everybody's saying it's a make or break year for the third-year quarterback of Daniel Jones, and that's right. That's true. But you could say that about almost any third-year quarterback, right? And I'm not saying that Daniel Jones doesn't need to improve. He does. But most third-year quarterbacks are in a make or break year. Last year, you saw 2 of them. Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen. Both of them took big steps. We need that from Daniel Jones this year with the pieces that he's been given. Obviously, a major X factor is going to be the offensive line. I think that's a big concern for a lot of people. My hope is, obviously, continuity, but the improved weapons makes the offense less predictable. You go back, watch the games last year, the Giants' offense was super predictable. They were sending 8 men every play. So you got to hope with the addition of Kenny Golladay, who looked really good today. Obviously, we hope Saquon Barkley's healthy. I think he's going to be playing week 1. I think the Giants are kind of playing it close to the vest. I'm not saying he's going to get 25 touches week 1, but I think he's going to play week 1. We'll see. But I think with the improved weapons, that should help the offensive line. But, obviously a lot of question marks going into the year. But, Jorge, good to see you, buddy. LeVar, man, what's up, buddy? How many wide receivers do you see the Giants keeping? Who and why? Great question. Last year, the Giants only kept 5 wide receivers going into the year. And, of course, they changed it weekly. Like, some weeks they had 4 tight ends. Like, the Giants were weird. They did it based on matchup. I hope 6, because I think we have a lot of talent at that wide receiver position. But we also have talent at the tight end spot. It's going to depend on how many players they feel like they need on the defense, right? Because we run a complex defense. They want to throw a lot of different looks at you. Last year, I think we rostered 11 linebackers, 10 DBs maybe. We rostered a lot of defensive players last year because of all the different looks. But I think we have a very talented wide receiver group, which is the opposite of last year. I'm hoping 6. I'm hoping Dante Pettis makes the team. I'm hoping John Ross makes the team. And obviously the top 4 with Kadarius Toney, Slayton Shepard, and obviously Golladay. So I'm hoping 6, obviously a bare minimum of 5. I don't see any more than 6, though. I think 6 is what you're going to get. I know a lot of people are rooting for David Sills to make the team. I would love for Sills to make the team. He's been a guy that's kind of been on the practice squad now for the last 2 years. A lot of people thought he was going to make the team last year before he got hurt a week before the year started, and he didn't quite crack the roster. I think it's tough sledding for him because I think that group is just so improved this year with the additions the Giants have made. But you never know. Obviously, there's always injuries in camp, and maybe he impresses. But I think they'll go with 6, and it'll be the 6 that I mentioned if I had to guess. But I have said that I wouldn't be shocked, LeVar, I'm not predicting this. I don't want people to think that I'm predicting this. This is kind of like a surprise, like I wouldn't be shocked if it happened type thing. I wouldn't be shocked if John Ross got cut. I wouldn't, because C.J. Board is a guy that a lot of people feel is a great special teams contributor. I could see Joe Judge valuing that, and I could see them valuing Dante Pettis. I think Ross has to show up and prove that he could be a nice part to this Giants offense. I think he will. I think the Giants brought him in for a reason, and I'm excited to see what he could bring. But I wouldn't be shocked. I think there's a lot of competition in that wide receiver room. Chicago Giants fan, what's going on, buddy? Welcome back. Only a few weeks away from preseason actions. What are you excited about to see this preseason? That's a great question, man. I hope you had a great summer, Chicago Giants fan. Great subscriber of mine. Hope you're doing well, buddy. To me, it's the offensive line. And I know that's boring, and I know people want to see the stats, and trust me, I want to see Jones to Galladay. I want to see Barkley healthy. I want to see this ferocious defense, which I think we're all super excited about. But to me, it's the offensive line, man. That's what I'm excited about. I'm excited to see if this offensive line, and we'll see how many reps they get, right, with the first team unit going up against the other teams, but how they look as a unit with the added weapons around them. That's what I'm looking forward to. I want to see how Hernandez looks. I want to see how Lemieux looks. Obviously, Matt Parrott, obviously, we all hope he's healthy, but that to me is what I'm going to be looking at in the preseason games more than anything else, because we all know, Chicago Giants fan, in the preseason, you're going to get a watered down playbook. It's not like the New York Giants are going to show the opposing defenses, all the tricks. Let's put it that way. They're going to try to keep a lot of plays for the regular season. So don't expect to see a lot of explosiveness in the preseason from the first team unit. To me, obviously, health is the most important thing. You want to get out of preseason. You want to get out of training camp healthy. But to me, I want to see that offensive line look like a solid unit. That's what I'm looking forward to. But obviously, the rookies, Azeez Ojulari, and, the newer players, Kenny Galladay, we're all excited about that as well. Nick DeWick, man, what's going on, man? What's up, Chris? Plus the chat. I'll be there 3 p.m. August 11th. Yeah, hopefully everybody's there. I'm going to be there live with Bobby from Talking Giants. Justin's going to be there. License plate guy's going to be there. And I'm looking forward to getting to meet a lot of you guys. We're going to be doing a show before the Fan Fest. I think Fan Fest starts at 6. That's when they let people in. They open the gates at 3. I'm going to be there with my brother, and I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully I get to meet you guys, and I'm looking forward to it, man. Fan Fest sounds like it's going to be awesome. From what I read, you're going to get to meet like some of the older players. And I don't know like if you're actually going to be able to get their autographs. I don't know. There's going to be fireworks. You're going to get to see the practice. So should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. Matthew, what's going on, buddy? Oh man, I appreciate that, man. My first super chat ever. Gotta go to you, Chris. I'm not comfortable with the O-line. Would you trade for any lineman, man? I really appreciate that, Matthew, man. Thank you so much. The O-line, I don't think most Giant fans, if they're being honest with themselves, are confident with this offensive line going into the year. I would say hopeful for the optimistic fans is probably the better word, because we haven't seen results yet, right? Even Andrew Thomas, he had his ups, he had his downs. But, I think Thomas can be good this year, but I think hopeful is the right word. I don't think any Giants fan going into this year is like, we know that the offensive line is going to be good. That's definitely the biggest question mark on this team. In terms of a trade, I just don't see it happening. I don't see – offensive linemen are so valuable in the NFL, right? And I just don't see teams being like, yeah, we'll give away our starting guard. We'll give away a starting guard to the Giants, no problem. I just don't see it. It's so valuable and it's so important to be able to play with one another. And when you take away a guy that's in the starting lineup and you just think you could replace him, that's tough, man. I don't think the Giants are going to be able to acquire somebody via trade. They may be able to sign a free agent right now, but I don't think they're going to make a trade for an offensive lineman. I just don't see it. But Matt, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, buddy. But I think that's I guess like what we're looking forward to this year and what we're hoping for, another year with this offensive line together that they could grow and they could build, right? That's something that the New York Giants, and I talked about that in a video, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months ago when I talked about, reasons why this offensive line could be better than some people may think. And you look back at the Giants' history over the last 8, 9, 10 years, there's been no continuity on that offensive line on a year in, year out basis. I think the most amount of starters that transferred from one year to the next was 3, if I remember correctly, in terms of the positions they were playing in the year before. One year, I think they had 4, but they shifted a lot of the offensive linemen around. Well, this year, Matt Parrott got some time at the right tackle. Obviously, Andrew Thomas was your left tackle. Nick Gates was the center, and you bring back both guards. The only difference now is you have Hernandez shifting over to the right side, something that he hasn't done in the NFL, but it's really the first year in a long time that the New York Giants have familiarity on the line, bringing back the same players. Dan, man, thank you very much, man. Glad you had a good summer so far, Chris. Thanks for the content. Who do you think is the odd man out at the tight end this year? Listen, did you guys see that highlight today of Levine Toilolo? First off, they never used the guy last year. I was surprised when the Giants brought him back to begin with. He was one of the earlier signed acquisitions this year by the New York Giants. I know Giants fans were going crazy when we brought back Booker. But did you see the highlight today of Toilolo? Listen, me personally, I'm rooting for Caden Smith. That's who I'm rooting for if they go with 3 tight ends. That's who I would like to see. I think he's had really good chemistry with Daniel Jones in the past. I think it's close, though. Obviously, they believe in Levine Toilolo, right? They signed him last year. They re-signed him this year. I like Caden Smith, though. I hope he makes the team. I think he's a versatile player. They used him a lot in the H-back role last year. He's a willing blocker. He's shown in the past that he could catch balls from Daniel Jones. So that's what I'm hoping. And I'd probably lean that way, but I wouldn't be shocked if Toilolo makes the team and Caden Smith misses it. I don't think they'll go with 4 tight ends. Tully, man, what's going on, buddy? Joe Judge in today's presser said he was going to rotate the offensive lineman again. How do you feel about the rotating offensive line? Now, did he say that in season? I did hear about it. I didn't read the full quote. I did hear about it. I heard that he was going to play Nick Gates at the guard. Now, is this preseason training camp so they're ready to cross-train, or is that in season? If it's in season, I'm not a fan, to be completely honest with you. Last year, I went along with it because it was a young offensive line. They were trying to give Matt Baird some exposure. They were trying to get him out on the football field. It was understandable knowing that he was going to be a part of the future of that team. But this year, man, you got a lot of young players on this line. They got to learn to grow in the positions that you give to them. Now, I have no problem with them doing that in preseason because you don't know what's going to happen. If an injury is going to happen, maybe they feel a certain player could end up being better at a certain position. But in season, I think once you make that decision, especially from within one game, like if you want to switch game 2, if you feel that Hernandez does a really bad job on the right side, that's one thing. But I don't like this shifting in and out in a game in, game out basis. I'm not a fan of that. Last year, like I said, it was more understandable, but not this year. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. And once again, man, thank you to everybody for being here. I appreciate it. NY Giants 26. Will Tony and Golladay play in the preseason? I mean, Tony's a rookie. He's going to play. I don't expect them to play a ton of time, right? Because they're starters. They're going to be guys that are going to be a big part of this team. You don't want to see injuries. A lot of the guys that are going to get a lot of playing time in these games are guys that are kind of bottom of the roster guys fighting for spots. But I'm sure Tony's going to get some exposure. They're going to use him in punt returns, kick returns. But like I said at the beginning of the stream, I don't expect the Giants to show the full repertoire on offense, right? And Tony's going to be, I think, one of the most unpredictable players in this offense and how they're going to utilize him. I don't expect you to see that in preseason. I don't think the Giants are going to show you their entire offense. So you'll see them, but not a lot. I don't expect to see Kenny Golladay a lot. The guy had an injury last year. He missed 11 games. I don't think the Giants are going to play with that. Maybe a little bit, a couple of drives here and there, but they're not going to play. Maybe a half. Maybe a half of the second game, being that there's only 3 preseason games this year, but you're not going to see them a ton. But you got to get a little chemistry with Daniel Jones before the year starts. So you'll see them a little bit. But I don't think you'll see Tony in his full role before the year starts, nor should you, to be honest with you. Sticky Fingers, what's going on? Stand up. Happy to see you still. I'm alive, man. I'm alive and well, man. I've just been enjoying my summer. Took some time off. As I said in my videos and some of my other streams, the Met streams, I didn't want to feel like I was pushing content on you guys. I felt like I did that a little bit last year during the pandemic. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about. I didn't want to feel like I was pushing content on you guys because, honestly, there wasn't much to talk about. So I was like, you know what? We're going to take our time. We're going to wait till training camp. Then we're going to start to get into the full-time New York Giants football. And it's going to be nonstop now until May. So just a little 2-month break. But that was it. And trust me, I would love to talk Giants 12 months out of the year. But sometimes you gotta take your foot off the gas pedal a little bit because it just becomes redundant when you're talking about what if this and what if that and what if this. Like, okay, let's wait till training camp. Let's get the answers. But I'm super excited about this roster going in, Sticky Fingers, man. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Hope you enjoyed your summer. Entertainer the Source God, my man Tana, let's go, man. I cannot wait. This to me is like I said earlier, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to see how the offense looks. But what I'm super excited about is the defense. Obviously the offensive line, like I said, is what I'm really looking at in the preseason because it's the biggest question mark. And I think probably the biggest X factor in terms of where this team is going to go this year. But the defense to me this year, man, I am super excited about this defense. As soon as we got Adoree Jackson, I saw what we did in the draft. You got Azeez Ojulari. And when you look at our schedule this year, Sauce God, you look at the quarterbacks we're going up against. We're playing Jameis Winston. We're playing, you name it. There's like 10 soft quarterbacks this year. I think our defense is going to feast this year. I think we're going to be one of the top 5 defenses in football. I really believe that. I think we're going to be ultra aggressive. I think we're going to create a lot of turnovers, and I think it's going to benefit the offense. But I think the defense this year, with the addition of Adoree Jackson, more familiarity in the scheme, the addition of Azeez Ojulari, I think this defense this year is going to be dynamic. I'm super excited about the defense this year. But thanks, man. I appreciate it. And let me see. Philly Fanatic, what's going on, man? Tana, I can't stand your Mets being in first. It'll be a close race for sure. What are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts this year? Good content. I appreciate that, man. Hey, man, I think it's going to be a great race, by the way, between my Mets and your Phillies. I was at the Mets game last night. It was horrible. But obviously, I'm a huge Mets fan. And your Phillies are – I think if you make a big acquisition at the deadline, you can be right in the race. In terms of Jalen Hurts, listen, I'll be the first to say I don't follow the Eagles as closely as I do follow the Giants. He only had 4 starts last year. I think the Cardinals was the game where he looked really good. I thought he looked horrible in the game that I got to see him from start to finish when obviously we were trying to make the playoffs and your team decided to, take their foot off the gas. But no, all kidding aside, I think obviously Jalen Hurts has some talent. He's mobile, but I would definitely question his accuracy. I think your weapons are pretty good now that you got Devontae Smith. Your offensive line is solid, but you got to worry about the health, right? The last 2 or 3 years, your offensive line has been decimated by injuries. If they remain healthy, I'll be completely unbiased and honest. I think the Eagles might have the best offensive line in the division, but they always get hurt over the last 2 or 3 years. In terms of Hurts as a quarterback, I'm not sold on him, but I'm sure you as an Eagle fan aren't sold on Daniel Jones. He's your biggest X factor this year, much like Daniel Jones is the Giants' biggest X factor. But I'll put it this way. Jalen Hurts doesn't scare me. And I'm sure Daniel Jones, you probably think doesn't scare you. So in the end, we'll see who's the better quarterback. But thanks, man. I appreciate it, buddy. Let's see. And Chris the man, what's going on, man? Hello, Chris. Hello, it's Chris from the UK. So glad you're back. Looking forward with some late nights with you. I can't wait, man. I'm going to be doing the Giants show, like I said, probably in like 2 or 3 days. Probably like August 1st, August 2nd with bad though, because I'm going to Atlantic City tomorrow for the NBA draft. Might be going to the Met game the next day, but definitely the day after that or the day after that, we'll have our first New York Giants show. I'll be streaming a lot of NFC East games this year as well. Like if the Cowboys are on prime time, like opening day, I'll be streaming that game. And we all know Tom Brady's throwing 7 touchdowns. If you play daily fantasy football, make sure you got Tom Brady in your lineup week 1 because the Dallas Cowboys defense this year, from what I heard, they're going to run a new coverage. It's called the Ghost scheme. Because it's going to look like there's no defensive players on the field. That defense is going to get carved up with all their young rookies this year. I can't wait to see Brady eat them up week 1. Andrew, man, what's going on, man? Welcome back. Giants cut Kelvin Benjamin. Our depth is great. Yeah, I'm not shocked, to be honest. I'm shocked that he got cut as early as he did, but I knew he wasn't going to make this team. So, it is what it is. Obviously, we could speculate as to what it was. Maybe it was because he was out of shape. Maybe it was because he came in late. I don't know. Maybe he got in an argument with Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge. Who knows? I never thought he was going to make this team to begin with. I thought he was a cool story in case Kyle Rudolph wasn't ready to go. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm looking forward, though, to the start of the season. But obviously, that's the major storyline today. It's sad. Kelvin Benjamin was a guy that obviously had a lot of talent, a former first-round pick, but just didn't pan out. Anthony, man, what's going on, man? Chris, what is Victor Cruz doing on the talk? No salsa. I didn't see that. I'll have to check that out. I honestly don't know what you're referring to. The talk. No salsa. I didn't see that. But somebody told me he was filming something in my Discord the other day. But maybe that's what you're referring to. But yeah, I didn't see that. But obviously, Victor Cruz famous for the salsa dance. Anthony, man, glad to see you, buddy. Hope you're enjoying your summer. Luis Guilherme, what's going on, my man? You got to get better at shortstop. You made a couple of errors the other day. Entertainer, we got Chris Bryant and Kimbrel for – no, we didn't. Ronnie – no, we didn't. J.D. Davis and Edwin Diaz, as consider it. No, I don't believe that. If that actually happened, I would be going bananas. I don't believe that, Luis Guilherme. I think you're trolling me. Brian, man, what's going on, man? Who do you want the Knicks to draft tomorrow? There's a number of names I could throw at you. I'm still going to look a lot more into it before I go tomorrow. But to me, man, I've seen a lot of mocks where the Knicks are taking power forwards. I want them to take a point guard. I've been wanting them to take a point guard forever. Take the best point guard there. I would love for them to trade up. But you can't force the pick, right? We definitely need other talent than outside of the point guard position. We could use another shooter. You could use another big. We don't really have a true big in terms of a rebounder. So we'll see what they decide to do. Just take the best player available. If there's a trade there, I would love to see the Knicks trade up. Take that 21st and 19th pick, get into the top 11 or 12. That would be great. Or to, get an established player. I'm excited, though. I'm excited to see what the Knicks ultimately end up doing. And to continue to build up the future. I'm excited for the Knicks this year as well. But thanks, man. I appreciate it, buddy. There's a couple of point guards, though, that I've been looking at. And entertainer the Source God. What's going on, man? All hell is going to break loose when PG sends the Hounds at the when PG sends the Hounds at the quarterback this season. And as for our offense, of the O-line is at least average, Danny's going to go nuts. Hey, man, I know it's a bold prediction. What's up, Jalen Manning's popping in the stream? What's up there, George Olson? I know it's a bold prediction, but I really do believe this year Jones is going to have a good statistical year. I really believe that. I think people forget his rookie year. He threw 24 touchdowns. I think he's more acclimated to the scheme this year. Obviously, he got a lot more help. I think Jones is going to throw 28 to 32 touchdowns this year. I really believe that. Threw 24 touchdowns in 12 starts his rookie year. Why can't he throw 30 touchdowns if he stays healthy in 17 starts against a somewhat soft schedule, at least against defenses? Like the Falcons don't have a great defense. The Eagles defense doesn't scare me. The Cowboys defense is putrid. I don't know. I think he can put up 30 touchdowns this year. I think Jones is going to have a solid year. But like you said, the offensive line is going to have a lot to do with it. I don't know if you're referring to the trade with the Indiana Pacers. I did see that. I think they tried to move up to 14, but it was rejected. I did see that. Riley, man, what's going on, man? Leave for the Army Infantry Basic Sunday. We'll miss. Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that, Riley, man. Well, obviously, thank you for serving our country, but sorry to hear you're going to miss the season. I'll try to keep you informed when you can listen. Yeah, man, thank you for serving the country, man. I appreciate it, man, and good luck. What's up there, Jalen, man? Benjamin says, what's it going to take for you to slam your headphones and break some beer bottles? Well, Benjamin, last year I broke my beer bottle when I wasn't even upset at the call by the referee last year. It was the missed 2-point conversion against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was the late flag. Like, it was so late. I was so pissed off. Had they thrown the flag right away, they threw it like 20 seconds after the fact. So that's what pissed me off. But, yeah, something like that would definitely cause me to flip out. Scott, man, what's going on, man? What's going on, Bears? What's up, Dana? And Jones is oh, no. Oh, no. We got a Bears fan in here. We got a Bears fan. What do you guys want? What's your guys' expectations for the Bears this year? I think they're going to go 0-17. No, obviously I'm joking, but that's what I'm hoping for. I hope the Bears go 0-17 this year. I would love to get your first round, the first overall pick. Bears talking more. I hope you guys absolutely suck this year. No offense to you. I don't hate the Bears. I just hate them this year. Cruz on, man, he says, I will be surprised if this O-line is average. And I don't blame you for feeling that way, Cruz on, because like we always say when we talk, the Giants offensive line hasn't been average for about a decade. So let's put it this way, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I think a lot of things have to go right for this offensive line to be average this year. I would even set my expectations a little bit lower in terms of what I'm hoping for. I just hope they aren't bad. I hope they're like mediocre, like they're satisfactory. Like, it's not like the Steelers game last year when Saquon Barkley was getting crushed 5 feet in the backfield every time he touched the ball. If they could play satisfactory for the 17-game schedule, I think our offense could be pretty good. But I don't blame you for being skeptical about this offensive line. Roldy, man, what's going on, man? Chris, I don't want us to trade up. There are prospects we could get in the 19 to 21. My dream pick at 19. Yeah, Sharif Cooper's a guy that a lot of people like. I think he's a little bit undersized. He's like 6 foot. So a lot of people have pointed to that, but I don't care about that. You look at some of the best point guards in the league. They're 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2". Obviously, Steph Curry, I think, is like 6'3". So I'm not too worried about that. I know a lot of Knicks fans have talked about Sharif Cooper. That's a guy, yeah, if he's there, I would definitely be happy if the New York Knicks drafted him. We'll see. We'll see, man. But I'm excited about the draft. I'm excited to see who the Knicks ultimately end up getting. And Edwin, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate the $5 super sticker. He says, wow, what's going on, Edwin, man? Glad to see you, buddy. And I think we got Bill M in the chat. Bill M, what's going on, man? Hey, Chris, good to see you. Which is it? Is Garrett an uninspired offensive coordinator on the decline, or did he just dumb down the offense for Turnover Jones and the shaky offensive line? What's your prediction? I honestly, and by no means, Bill, and I was pretty consistent with this last year, by no means do I think Jason Garrett is a great offensive mind. I would never put him on the level of a Shanahan or someone like that. But do I think that Jason Garrett last year was handcuffed? Absolutely. I think going into last year, the New York Giants planned to run their offense through Saquon Barkley. I don't even think it's a debate. And Barkley went down after a game and a quarter. And he knew going into the year, the offensive line was going to be putrid. They had 3 new offensive linemen. They had no time to prepare to learn the scheme. So, yes, I think Jason Garrett was 100% handcuffed. Now, is he a great offensive coordinator? No, I'm not going to tell you that I think he's the greatest play caller of all time. But do I think with a solid offense, the Giants could have a good offense this year? Yeah. I mean, it's been proven in the past when he was an OC with the Dallas Cowboys. They routinely had one of the top 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 offenses in the league. Obviously, they had a great offensive line. Obviously, they had great weapons. Our offensive line isn't on that level. But do I think if the offensive line is solid this year, that we could have a pretty good offense? Yeah, I see no reason why we couldn't. That's just my opinion. But as far as Jones last year, I don't think Jones had much of a chance. I think the Giants realized that. It's what I've said several times. Like I said, especially after Barkley went down. And I think the Giants realized their best chance to win football games was to be a ball control offense, limit turnovers, and have the defense win games for them. I don't think the Giants are going to operate that way this year. They spent so much money in adding weapons for this offense. So I think they're going to open it up a bit this year, and you may see more mistakes by Jones, but you'll also probably see more big plays. And to win in this league, you need big plays. So I'm excited to see how he grows in year 3. But yeah, I definitely think both Garrett and Jones were handcuffed last year with all the factors that I talked about. Let's see, we got it. Jose Altuve, what's going on, my man? Why does Francisco? I don't think he sucks. I don't think Lindor sucks. I mean, he's definitely been mediocre at best. But he's hurt right now, and he was starting to hit really good, actually, before he went down. I think he was going to turn around bat like 250 at 20, 25 home runs, but I think he'll be fine. He's still got a good glove, and I still think he's a good player. What's going on there, Jalen, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. You're 7 in the chat. Let's see. Getting some Knicks question. Hopefully the Giants make the playoffs because it's been like forever. The Giants haven't made the playoffs since 2016. So, yeah, it's been a long time for sure. And we haven't won a playoff game since our last Super Bowl. So, it's been a long time, man. And I'm hoping that we get to celebrate a great New York Giants season this year together. I think they're going to be much better. I don't know if they're going to be good enough to advance in the playoffs. Obviously, a lot of that's going to come down to Daniel Jones. But I'm super excited about the season this year. Yo, Tana, keep saying my name. Jalen, what's up, man? Jalen, how you been, Jalen? Who do you think is our best offensive lineman? That's a good question. I think by year's end it'll be Andrew Thomas. I think it's hard to say that going into the year, but I think by year's end it'll be Andrew Thomas. I actually have. What's up, Kuzan, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Elvis Anthony in the chat. What's going on, man? I think it'll be Thomas by year's end. Right now, I mean, Hernandez has been mediocre. Gates, and I love Nick Gates. Nick Gates, one of my favorite players on the team. I'm gonna be honest. I think some Giants fans overrate Nick Gates a bit. I don't think he's definitely a finished product. I think he could be a very good offensive lineman. We'll see. I think he's an average starting center. I'll go with Andrew Thomas. I think by year's end, Andrew Thomas is gonna be our best offensive lineman. But we'll see. He's obviously got to prove a lot this year. What's up there, Max, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. What's up there, Samuel? What's going on, Jet G, man? Glad that you're here, buddy. Daniel Jones playoff debut chance. Well, I mean, obviously, we'll see. I think it comes down to the offensive line and health. Elvis, man, so excited. I'm excited we're talking Giants as well, Elvis, man. I'm glad that you're here. All right, I'm going to give you guys one thing that I've seen nobody talk about. And I'm trying to think of, like, things that, like, could go, because obviously when you're going into the regular season, you're always, you're trying to think optimistic. You're trying to think about things that could get better and go right. I'm going to give you one thing that I've been thinking about that I think could be worse than last year, that a lot of people are not talking about, that I think a lot of people took for granted, and I hope not. I hope he's just as good. I hope he's better. I think it's one of the most underrated positions, maybe the most underrated position in the NFL. Last year, Graham Gano was incredible. I think it's hard for me to imagine him matching that this year. And that is one area where I could see the New York Giants getting a little bit worse this year. But by the same token, I think our punting game could get better. I think that Dixon was underwhelming last year, but I worry a little bit about Gano this year. I haven't seen many people talk about that. I think a lot of people take that for granted. The year that he had basically a Pro Bowl season, and that was huge for this Giants team last year. We all remember Aldrick Rosas. I think it was his second or third year where he really fell off after his Pro Bowl year. So kickers are kind of year to year, but we'll see. Hopefully he can match his production last year. Jose Altuve, man, thanks for popping in the stream. What do you think about the DH? And I think obviously it's going to happen. I was definitely a guy that was very much against it, but listen, I've accepted it. I know it's going to happen. It adds more offense to the sport, which is going to get more eyes on the sport. So I completely understand why they're doing it. It also prolongs careers, and it would be beneficial to my Mets. A guy like J.D. Davis or Dom Smith could be a very good DH. Raphael, man, what's going on, man? Better NFC team, Rams or the Packers? I think the Rams are a better team, but if I was going to pick one team to get the number one seed, it might be the Packers this year for the simple reason the division that they play in. The Rams play in the West. The West is loaded. I mean, you got 4 really good teams in the West, so I think it's going to be hard for the West winner to get the bye. Obviously, only one team gets a bye now with the new playoff format. So I would say the Packers actually have a better chance of getting the number one seed, getting that bye, having home field throughout. I would say it's between them and the Bucs, but I do think the Rams are a better football team. Roldy says, I want Sharif Cooper and Williams, 19 and 21. I pray we don't trade up. What point guard or shooting? To be honest with you, I got to look more into the. I have every Knicks fan has been talking about Sharif Cooper, so I've definitely looked into him. I got to look more into the shooting guards. But I'm going to be live on Sim's channel tomorrow, so tomorrow I have a lot more to talk about with that. There's a few names, but I want to do more research before I tell you what shooting guard that I want. But I definitely want a point guard. I want a point guard that could shoot, that could stretch the floor, and I definitely think we could use a big man down low. But for sure, a shooter. Last year we got a shooter late in the first round. I was happy when we did it. I think we need another one. But I'll definitely give you more names on the Nothing But Knicks stream tomorrow. I've just been busy with everything else, but I definitely want a shooter. If there's one there that could be a really good player, I think that's the Knicks' biggest weakness. Let's see. Sticky Fingers, what's going on, man? He says, I think the Monday Night Football multicast on ESPN Plus and Disney Plus is the first step in a 5-year plan to get live sports off cable and on streaming service. Ooh, that's a good. It's not a. I could see that. I'm going to tell you what, man. I think more people are going to watch Eli and Peyton's broadcast than the one on ESPN. And from the way that they made it sound, and this is just the way I envisioned it based on what I read, it sounds like Peyton and Eli are going to be like at their house calling the game. Like they said it sounded like they weren't going to be at the game. But maybe they'll just be at a studio. I don't know. But I'm really looking forward to that. I'm not going to stream any Monday night games this year unless it's, Washington, the Giants, or the Eagles, because I'm going to be looking forward to watching them call games. They're going to be calling 10 games this year. I think a lot of people are kind of sick of the broadcasters, which is why people tune into my streams. I think Eli and Peyton will be great together. What's up there, Mexican Giant Man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Do you do fantasy football? I do. Unfortunately, and I am taping the game, and I'm going to get back, I think, by the second half. I am not going to be able to stream the first preseason game between the Jets and the Giants. I'm going to be streaming the next two. The only day I've been doing a fantasy league for about 15 years. The only day we could have done it was August 14th. I think it starts at 5, but I don't know what time I'm going to be home, so I'm not going to stream that game. I'm taping. I'm going to watch it. But yeah, I'm doing my fantasy draft on August 14th. So yes, I do fantasy football. Jay, what's going on, my man? What do you think Saquon Barkley's workload will look like coming off of an injury? 25 plus carries a game or 20 and below? Definitely not 25 plus carries a game. I would be shocked, Jay, if he averages 25 plus carries a game. I don't know if Authentic's in here. I give Authentic credit for this all the time because he was kind of the first one that really started, at least that I saw, that started bringing it up. I think they're going to use Saquon Barkley in an Alvin Kamara-like role. I could see him getting 7 or 8 catches, 13, 14, 15 carries, somewhere like that. I don't think they're going to utilize him as a bell cow running back. You think about Joe Judge. Joe Judge comes from the New England School of Thought. What was Bill Belichick all about? Not to mention you have him coming off the injury that he's coming off of. I don't think the New York Giants are going to look to run this guy into the ground. I do think they still view him as a guy that they want to have here for a long time. Obviously, Gettleman thinks very highly about him. Merritt thinks very highly about him, but he's got to prove he can stay healthy. I don't think he'll be used like that, though. I think 12, 13, 14, 15 carries, 6, 7 catches, something like that. And I think Devontae Booker will get a decent amount of touches. Obviously, certain games, if he's going really good, you ride the hot hand, but on a game-in, game-out basis, I don't expect him to average 25 carries a game. And let's see what we got here. Zach, what's going on? I just want to make sure I didn't skip anybody. Zach, what's going on, man? We went 6-10 without Barkley, wide receiver 1, cornerback 2, and pretty much no edge rushers with X-Man and Carter back and Ojulari. With all these additions, what's our ceiling? Okay, I don't want anybody to think that I'm crazy and I'm setting the expectations too high because I try not to do that. But our ceiling, you're asking like if everything goes right, the offensive line is average. I think that's our ceiling, maybe slightly above average. I think that's our ceiling. Hopefully I'm still on. I just had something pop up. I think I am, though. I think that's our ceiling, right? Everybody stays relatively healthy. We have a number of players on this team that have injury history, whether it be Saquon Barkley, Kenny Golladay, Daniel Jones, so on and so forth. If we stay healthy, if the offensive line is average, if the defense doesn't take a step back, I think 12 wins is our ceiling. Like, if in a perfect scenario, 12 wins is our ceiling. I think 7 wins is probably our floor if we stay remotely healthy, like if we're not decimated by injuries. But I think we're going to win 9 or 10 games. That's like my, I guess, realistic expectation, 9, maybe 10 wins. But I think 12 wins in a perfect scenario would be our absolute ceiling. And Rudy, man, what's going on, man? Tana, nice to see you live, my man, in week 4 of 6 with oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry I couldn't pull it up. I had a pop on my screen. It should go away in a second. With having a wired jaw, recovering from jaw surgery, excited for more content. Let's go, Giants. Rudy, man, Rudy's been with me forever, man. I hope you're feeling better, buddy. He's been with my channel since literally the beginning. I remember when Rudy, when I first started, he told me that he saw one of my videos and he had to look through like the list for like an hour to find it because I was low in the algorithm after he watched it to subscribe to my channel. So he's always been a great subscriber of mine. I hope you feel better, Rudy. Doormat, what's going on, man? Chris, I just saw a video of Saquon doing drills and his right leg is significantly smaller than his left. I could see a world where he isn't ready. I'm not saying he's definitely going to be ready week 1. I'm not going to be shocked if he isn't, but I think he will be. I think the Giants are playing it safe. He might not get more than 10 touches, but I think he's going to be on the roster week 1. That's just my prediction. I don't know that for a fact. I'm not a doctor. I'm not within the organization. We'll see. Here's what I'm going to say. If Saquon Barkley is not 100%, he should not be playing. Should not be playing. That is way too serious of an injury to be playing with. We've seen how it could set back the team, how it could set back Saquon Barkley. They got to make sure he's 100% before they put him out there. I know football's a tough sport. You want players to play through injuries. You don't mess around with an injury like that. What's going on, Dust Thunder, man? Glad to see you, man. Check Twitter. I already knew that. That was a joke. That was a joke. By the way, they did cut him. That was not the reason. Wesley Steinberg, which is a parody account, tweeted out that the New York Giants cut Kelvin Benjamin because he stole food from the cafeteria, and it got about 3,000 retweets, and people of the national media were talking about it like it was an actual thing. That is not why he was cut. He was not cut because he ate too many cheeseburgers. It was probably a football reason, not because he stole food out of the cafeteria. What's up there, Abraham, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. Queasy Montauk Whaler in the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here. King Sean says, yo, it's good to see you too, man. Thank you so much for being here. You don't like Nate Solder? I don't think Nate Solder is going to start this year, Mehmet. I think he's going to be a swing tackle. I think he's a guy that comes in. Obviously, if a guy like Matt Parrott or Andrew Thomas goes down with an injury, I don't see him starting this year. Scott, man, thank you very much, man. He says, Chris, are you comfortable with a backup about situation? God forbid. I'm all right. I don't know if you're talking about the quarterback. I don't know what position you're talking about. The backup about, I'm guessing you mean quarterback. No, I mean, I don't think we're going to win very many games with our backup quarterback, if that's what you mean. I think Mike Glennon's a solid backup. He's an average backup. He's kind of like what we had last year. He's a guy that gets you through games. He's not a guy that wins you games. He has a losing record throughout his career, a bad record throughout his career for a reason. So I don't expect him to step in and win a lot of games for us if our quarterback goes down. But that's kind of the way you feel. I mean, if any quarterback goes down, right? Generally, your backup quarterback's not going to be very strong. So I do think, and again, maybe you weren't talking about the quarterback. I do think the depth on this team is so much deeper than it's ever been. You look at I'm not going to say ever, but in a long time. Like when you look at this team right now, you look at the wide receiver position, we got a lot of depth. Even the tight end position, I think we got some depth. Defense, edge rusher, we don't have a great edge rusher, but we got some decent players there. Secondary, we are very deep. Defensive line, you got Austin Johnson as your fifth or sixth defensive lineman. So we're deep. We have a deep team. But in terms of the backup quarterback, I think it's I don't think we're going to win very many games if Jones goes down. Philly, man, what's going on? Would you want to trade for Max Scherzer? I would, but it's not going to happen. Scherzer's come out and said that he would not accept the trade to the New York Mets. So it's not going to happen. But, yeah, of course I would. What's going on there, Evan Engram? As I said at the top of the stream, that's going to happen once or twice with the old computer. That's been happening during the Mets game, so it may happen again. If it does, I'll be back in like 20 seconds, so just hold on. The newer computer should be back hopefully by the end of the week. So that's the issue with that. But yeah, no, that may happen again. So don't panic. I will be back. Evan Engram, man, glad to see you. You better catch footballs this year, Evan. You better catch footballs. I will not go as far to say that I expect you. And Ignacio, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Stand up, new member. What's going on, my man? Thanks for popping in the stream. I'm not gonna go out on a limb like I did. I am not gonna go out on a limb like I did last year. To say that I think you're gonna have a breakout year, because I said it last year going into the year and you really disappointed me. But I'm not even going to say it, but I do think you could have a good year with all the parts that we have. I'm not going to predict it, but I think there's going to be a lot of attention taken off of you. And if you could hold on to the football, I think you're going to find a lot of opportunities to be open this year with the coverage on Kenny Golladay, Saquon Barkley, Kadarius Toney, and all the added weapons that we have. Entertain the source, God, man. Thank you very much. Evan Engram scared Chris away. Yeah, I know. I know. He always scares me away. Whenever he's in the lineup, he scares me away. The source, God. Evan Engram says, not my fault. James said, who is going to be our starter at tight? It's Evan Engram. Evan Engram is going to be our starter at tight end. Obviously, I think Kyle Rudolph is going to be used, especially in the red zone. And I think we'll have a lot of 2 tight end sets. We didn't sign him not to play, but I think Evan Engram is definitely going to be your starting tight end going into the year. Hopefully holds on to the football. Now, they may use Evan Engram a little bit more on the outside. They used him like that a lot last year. They also used him in the backfield. I don't expect that this year, right? Last year, if you remember, they used Evan Engram a lot on the pitches, the end arounds, the jet sweeps. That's going to be Toney this year. I don't think they'll use Evan Engram like that, but I could see them using him maybe a little bit more on the outside and using Rudolph more as that traditional tight end. But Engram will definitely be in the starting lineup. What's up there, Muhammad, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. No, Rudolph ain't getting cut. What's up there, Anthony, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Thank you to everybody for being here. Moving Engram to wide receiver would make his salary go up. We're not keeping him anyway. We're not keeping Evan Engram at the end of this year. You know, I've talked to some Giants fans, I think Kenny in my Discord, that think we're going to keep Evan Engram. How? How are we going to keep Evan Engram? We got like $18 million of cap space next year. If Evan Engram has a good year, how are we going to keep Evan Engram? We're not keeping Evan Engram. Jabril Peppers is a free agent. Also, Will Hernandez is a free agent. I don't see Evan Engram here after this year. AGM, man, thanks for popping in the stream, man. Yes, I am going to stream the NBA draft on Sim's channel. I'm going to be a guest on his channel. What's your Discord? I'm sure somebody in my Discord, if they're in here, could drop the link. I don't have it on me, but I'm sure somebody in my Discord could drop the link. I feel like I'm the only Giants fan that isn't fully out on Solder. I could truly see him coming in and playing a solid right tackle for us. I mean, Max, I think it's one of those things where you hope it doesn't happen. And it's less to do with Solder and more to do with you want to see Matt Barrett progress, right? We drafted Matt Barrett in the 3rd round. He's a guy that has some potential. You want to see him grow, right? You want to see this offensive line grow up together. I do think Solder, maybe I'll be wrong, and hopefully we don't even find out. I want Matt Barrett to be the starter. But I do think if Solder is called in for duty, he could be a adequate right tackle. I'm not saying he could be great. I think he could be an adequate right tackle. I don't think everything was Nate Solder's fault, right? Obviously, he wasn't good in Daniel Jones' rookie year, but I think a lot of people didn't take into account that Daniel Jones was a rookie. And when you have a rookie quarterback, they're not very good in terms of pre-snap reads, reading the defenses, being able to adjust the offensive line. So I don't think that did Nate Solder any favors. I think Solder could be decent if he's called in the duty on the right side, but I don't want to see it. I want to see Matt Barrett be the starter this year. You heard about Xavier Howard wanting a trade because of his contract. Yeah, I heard about it. We'll see if it happens, but yes, I heard about it. Pete, man, what's going on, man? But he was the worst in the league when he played last. That was a terrible year removed. I don't want to see him in the lineup, MD. I definitely don't want to see him in the lineup. I think he's a solid swing tackle, but he's a guy that I don't want to see in the lineup. I want to see Thomas and Parrott in the lineup. And he brings good leadership, right? He's a captain. He's a guy that's been in the league. He got 2 young tackles. I think he's valuable on this team, but ideally, yes, I would like to see him on the bench. Let's see what we got here. Chris says, who starts week 1, Locke or Teddy B? I think it'll be Locke. I mean, I don't follow Denver, but I'm assuming Locke. But it could be Bridgewater. Neither one of them scares me. They've got weapons. I think Denver's going to be a tough matchup. because of their defense, not so much their offense. Their defense is really good. They got a great secondary, a great pass rush. And I think what a lot of Giants fans got to realize coming out, a lot of Giants fans going into the year, they're going to be excited. They're going to want to see a high-flying offense. You added Galladay, you added Tony, you got Barkley back. Jones make or break year. I get it. Early on in the year, Giants are going to be concerned. In my opinion, we'll see. On offense, I think they're going to be conservative. I mean, you look at that Denver defense. It's one of the better defenses in the league. They got a great secondary, not to mention their offense isn't very good. So if you're the Giants, in my opinion, going into that game, you play that game not to make mistakes. Obviously, you try to open it up. You try to take shots when you can, but you're not going out there high-flying. You're going to play, in my opinion, they'll play relatively conservative and play to let that defense close out that game against the bad quarterback play of the Denver Broncos. The second week, I think it's similar. I mean, you look at Washington. They have probably the best defensive line in the sport. And their offense, who knows with Fitzpatrick, right? New receivers, so on and so forth. So the first 2 weeks, I don't expect the Giants to go out there and throw the ball 45, 50 times. Week 3, I think they'll open it up against the Atlanta Falcons. So, Scott, what's going on? I cannot wait to beat up on Locke or Teddy in week 1. I think our defense is going to win us some games early on if we're going to win those games the first couple of games. Sticky Fingers, man, what's going on? Did you see Jackson Kruger's video on positional value a few months back? The numbers say quarterback, wide receiver, DBs, running back, O-line, pass rush, kicker with some good evidence. I did not. I would tend to disagree with him. I would not. I mean, everybody's got their own opinion. Everybody, I'm sure he presented a good case. I disagree. I would not have wide receiver above offensive line and pass rush for sure. My order would be quarterback, left tackle specifically as the second most important position, and then an edge rusher. Those would be my 3 most important positions. And then after that, I think it's a debate between DB, wide receiver. But my top 3 undoubtedly would be, I think the most important things in football are the quarterback, protecting your quarterback, and getting after the quarterback. So I would have it quarterback, left tackle, edge rusher. Those would be my 3 most important positions. What's going on there, Anthony Mannix? Popping in the stream, buddy. James says, what do the Giants do if Jones isn't the guy? I think Mike Glennon is the answer. I think you're smoking the ganja, James. If you think Mike Glennon's the answer, I think you're smoking the ganja, my man. No, but if Daniel Jones is not the answer, I think it's obvious. I think he's going to be the quarterback this year. You're not going to see them replace Daniel Jones for Mike Glennon unless there's an injury. Mike Glennon has been a proven backup quarterback his entire career. You're trying to find out what you have with Daniel Jones. But at the end of the year, if Jones regresses or if he doesn't improve, yeah, you look towards the draft. We got 2 first-round picks. You look to potentially move up. Obviously, you could then potentially trade for a quarterback with the assets that you have that's already in the league. But that's something I'm not going to think about. I'm going to hope that Daniel Jones is the guy. I think he could be with the help that we got him. But obviously, that's the big question mark going into the year. But it will not be Mike Glennon. What's up there, Kato, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. Euphoric says, is Ryan Fitzpatrick the best backup quarterback of all time? He's not really a backup. I mean, he's been a journeyman, but he's pretty much been a starter, right? He started for the Bills. He started for the Jets. He started for the Dolphins. He's been a starter for a lot of his career. So he's just kind of a guy that is not good enough to get like a long-term commitment, but he's good enough to start for a team that's kind of in quarterback limbo, which is really what Washington is. But yeah, I guess, yeah, he's like, yeah, that's what he is. He's always been like in that 20 to 25 range at the quarterback position. What's up, Jameson, man? Thanks for popping in. If Jones isn't the guy, I would like to see Sam Howell or yeah, I think that's the most obvious answer, WP. I think you look towards the draft. Justin, what's going on, man? Do you think Adoree Jackson is going to be the best cornerback 2 in the league? I mean, I don't know if he's going to be the best cornerback 2 in the league. What I think I could say is I think the Giants might have the biggest improvement at the cornerback 2 position this year in the league. And if not the biggest, one of the biggest. Obviously, I can't think of all 32 secondaries off the top of my head, but I think we're going to see a dramatic improvement at that position. And as long as Adoree Jackson is a average cornerback opposite James Bradbury, I think this defense is going to be much improved. Last year, I thought that's what we were missing. Obviously, we could use another dominant edge rusher, but I think having strong corner play is going to allow us to be a lot more aggressive on defense. So I think he was a big-time addition for the New York Giants. We might not play against Aaron Rodgers in 2022. Probably not. I don't think, well, who knows where he's going to go, but I don't think he'll be on the Packers in 2022. God forbid DJ had a bad year. Do you draft a quarterback in another weak quarterback class? Yeah, I mean, I know this is going to be a popular question all year, and hopefully I know this is going to be like the biggest question. Yeah, I mean, if you like a quarterback, you draft him. You don't force a quarterback pick, though. I think that's the biggest mistake a team could make. You don't just draft a quarterback to draft a quarterback. If you do not like a quarterback in the draft class and you don't think Jones is the guy, then you look for a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick, like what Washington did, or like Teddy Bridgewater, a stopgap quarterback, a guy that could get you by until you find your next, what you hope is your franchise quarterback going forward. Or, of course, you could look to trade for a guy like Aaron Rodgers if it was even a remote possibility. But I think Daniel Jones is going to have a good year. I think he's going to get a fourth year with the New York Giants. Let's see what we got here. Giants, man, thank you very much. KB experiment is over already, about to be cut. He is cut. It's not about to be. He got cut. Kelvin Benjamin got cut. So it is over. And Sticky Fingers, man, thank you very much. It's an interesting vid. Wasn't his opinion. He's just as surprised as me. Just what the data shows. He shows the calculations. I'd love to see your thoughts on it. Yeah, you know what? Do me a favor so I don't forget. Drop it in the comment of this stream after the fact. I'll definitely check it out. But no matter what it says, I don't think I'll agree with that. I don't think I would ever have the wide receiver as the second most important position. But I could see somebody definitely make an argument that's the fourth most important position. But I'll definitely check it out, man. What's going on there, Tom, man? Let's see. DJ is going to be good, but he needed the assets for sure. I mean, he definitely needed the assets. We'll see if he's going to be good now that he has them. I'm going to go back to sleep now, so I'm tired right now. Jameson, you get some sleep, buddy. Deshaun Watson, please, I don't want to play with David Johnson. I'd rather have Saquon. All right, we're not doing that. I see a lot of people talking about that, too, on Twitter. That's a dream for people that'll never happen. Not to mention what I think nobody factors in is the character concerns, right? Joe Judge talks about all the time that they're trying to build a culture, a no-nonsense culture. You think they're going to trade for Deshaun Watson? I don't see it. But they obviously have faith in Daniel Jones, and I think the Sooner fans accept that, and they realize that Jones is going to be your quarterback in 2022, or 2021 rather, the better. He's going to be our quarterback. We're not trading for anybody. I've known that since January, and I think it's silly that people even talk about it because it's not a possibility. John, man, what's going on? Hey, Chris, if our offense is clicking, but Engram still has drops or tips that turn into interceptions, do you see Dave Gettleman trading Engram, not Sterling Shepard? I think the Giants could definitely trade Evan Engram. If the right deal presented itself, I think they'd be open to trade because I don't think Evan Engram is going to be back at the end of the year. But obviously, you have to get solid draft compensation, right? Because if Evan Engram hits the open market, knowing that the Giants aren't going to be able to sign anybody next year, they're not going to have a lot of money, you're going to get a compensation pick. Somebody's going to pay Evan Engram. So it has to be worth your while, right? I would think if we're not signing anybody next year in terms of a big-time contract from the outside, Engram would probably get at least a fourth-round comp pick. So if you're not getting at least a third-round pick for Evan Engram, you don't do it because you're probably going to get a fourth-round comp pick for him. Somebody's going to sign him. Somebody's going to see the upside and think that they could do big things with him in their offense. The Anos, what's going on, buddy, man? What's going on, mini guy? What's up there, Derek? Hello there. I'm sorry I've not been in your stream. I haven't been doing streams, Anos, for a while. So I'm glad that you're here. We're going to be doing a lot more of these as the season starts to heat up. Will the Giants have a true Pro Bowler on their offensive line this year? Probably not. Probably not, if I'm being honest. I don't expect the Pro Bowler this year. Misleading story. What's going on, man? Glad to see you, buddy. Derek Miller in the chat. No, I'm not even thinking Pro Bowler this year with the offensive line. I'm just hoping for solid offensive lineman, solid professional offensive lineman. I'm not thinking Pro Bowlers. You missed my chat, Chris? Hold on. Let me find it. Sauce God. I'll just find it on the phone. Maybe I missed it by mistake. Sauce God. I cannot wait. I did read it. The one where you said I cannot wait to beat up Locke or Teddy in week one. I think I did. But if not, there you go. I read it. Sorry I missed it. If I did. You cannot wait to beat up Locke or Teddy in week one. I think we're gonna. I'm not worried about the Denver offense week one. I'm not. I'm worried about the defense. I'm not worried about the offense. Let's see. O-line first pick by Wilhelm. It's tough to tell right now because we don't know what the team's gonna look like. We don't know how Jones is gonna perform. And we don't know how the offensive line is going to perform. But if you ask me right now, what's our biggest need? I would say offensive line. Unless we need a quarterback. I would say offensive line is going to be what we need. And it might be. The only question is, though, I haven't done any research on the 2022 draft class yet. I don't know the guards. I don't know the centers. And that's probably our biggest need right now. We don't know how Matt Parrott's going to play, though. So if there's a really good tackle and Matt Parrott's not that good, we could obviously draft a tackle early in the draft as well. So I definitely think we'll be drafting an offensive lineman in one of the first 2 rounds next year. I'd be surprised if we don't. Let's see what we got here. If we could just be an average O-line this season, we will win games. I mean, yeah. But the problem is we haven't been an average offensive line for 10 years. Mike says, Giants and Tana back. Life is good again. What's going on, Mike, man? Glad you're enjoying your summer. Great supporter of mine. Glad to see you in the stream, buddy. What's going on there, Viz, man? Gungo says, Tana, you think that Shepard is going to return to full-time slot? I do. Yes. I mean, I don't want to guarantee full-time, like every one of his snaps is going to be in the slot. But yes, I think the majority of his snaps are going to be in the slot this year. Yeah, I think Slayton's on the outside, along with Galladay, and I think Shepard will be in the slot. Tony, I am really excited to see how they use Tony this year. I think they could use Tony in so many ways. I definitely think Tony is the future slot receiver of this team. I think Shepard's going to be cut after this year. I think most people expect that. But Tony, obviously, I think they could use him in 4 wide receiver sets. I think they're going to use him on jet sweeps like they did with Evan Engram last year. But one thing that I haven't seen a ton of people talk about, I think they're going to use Tony a lot. I'm not going to say a lot, like they're going to do it like 100 times, but I think they're going to use the Wildcat. And I think Tony's going to be in the Wildcat. He obviously is a threat to throw. He's a former quarterback. He's super fast. He's nifty. He's very good at breaking tackles. I could see the Giants using the Wildcat this year, and I think they'll use Tony. And I could see that being a weapon around the red zone, like the 5-6 yard line. You bring Tony out on first down in the Wildcat. He's a threat to both pass and run. I could see them doing things like that. I think they're going to be creative with Tony. Cheyenne, man, what's going on, buddy? My man, Tana. Good to see you back, buddy. Stand up. Let's go, Big Blue. One thing I saw on Twitter after day 1 practice, overreaction to a word, sloppy practice. Yeah, I'm surprised not a lot of people have talked about that. Listen, it's day 1, right? Day 1, you should be sloppy, right? These guys have not played together. I mean, obviously, they've done it a little bit on the side. Daniel Jones has gotten the wide receivers together, but it's the first day as a team that you're together at camp. You're supposed to be sloppy. So I'm not reading too much into that. To be honest with you, Cheyenne, I never read too much into training camp because what you're going to read throughout training camp for the New York Giants this year, you're going to read a lot of positive things, right? Last year, and it's why I didn't make a video on Daniel Jones when he was jacked, right? I saw a lot of people going crazy about it on Twitter, and I see people making videos, Daniel Jones is jacked. Last year he was jacked, right? Last year he worked out, and everybody was excited about that. You're going to see a lot of optimistic articles and people trying to drive up hope, and that's great. I'm excited for the season as well. I don't read too much into that. The only thing I'm concerned with, or I'm not going to say the only thing, but the thing I'm most concerned with in the preseason, in training camp, is health. Get out of there healthy. I don't want any injuries to our key players. You get out of there healthy, that's a win. That's what I'm most concerned with. The Giants have been bit with the injury bug in the past in training camp. Obviously, most teams, have an injury or two in training camp, and hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we get good health, and obviously you want to see Daniel Jones progress with his wide receivers. But I'm not going to read too much into them looking a little bit sloppy practice 1. Thoughts on Glennon backup, not the best too. Yeah, I mean, John, let me pull this up real quick. Where's John? John, glad to see you here, man. What's going on, buddy? Hope you're enjoying your summer. Thoughts on Glennon as the backup is the 2, not the best. Yeah, I mean, he's not. But, I mean, it's kind of – I think he's a little bit of an upgrade, actually, of who we had last year. But, yeah, I mean, he's not a guy – he's not Nick Foles. He's not going to go out – he's not going to win you a Super Bowl if Daniel Jones goes down. But I think he's a solid backup, and I think the Giants needed to use the limited – well, they had more money than we thought they were going to have, but they needed to use the money that they were going to spend in free agency to try to help Daniel Jones as much as they possibly could. And that's what they did, right? They got Kenny Galladay. They got Rudolph. Obviously, they helped the defense as well by getting Adoree Jackson. I don't think the Giants were at a point where they could afford to spend big money on a backup quarterback. And not to mention, you want to see if Jones is the guy this year. I think that's what this year is about. Year 3, second year in the scheme. You're giving him a real fair opportunity. So I'm okay with the backup. Now, if Jones progresses and gets better, that's when maybe you look to bring in a better backup in case Jones goes down. But I'm okay with the backup they got. Simon says, great to see you back, my man. Hope the O-line works. I mean, that's the biggest question mark going into the year, man. That's the biggest question mark going into the year. I got my fingers crossed. I say that every year, so we'll see. But, yeah, man, I can't wait for the season to start. And what's going on there, Matthew? He says, do you think Shepard will have a surprising year? I think Shepard can have an efficient year. I don't know if surprising is the word that I would use. I think Engram, Shepard, Slayton could have efficient years. I don't think they're going to get a ton of targets, though, right? Because you have to figure Barkley, if he's healthy, he's going to get a lot of targets. You're talking about a guy that almost had 100 catches in his rookie year. He's a threat out of the backfield. Tony's going to get his fair share of targets. Obviously, Galladay is going to get a lot of targets. So I think they could have efficient years because I think they're going to see better opportunities, right? Last year, you had Slayton getting number 1 coverage. You had Engram being the number one focal point in this offense, and we were predictable without Saquon Barkley. So I think they could have efficient years, but I don't think they're going to be pelleted with targets. I expect all those players to get less targets this year on a per-game basis. Matthew, man, what's going on? Do you think – oh, I just read that, actually. I'm sorry. John, man, thank you very much. Our defense is finally complete, in my opinion, top 5, and will give the ball back to our offense a lot. And with DJ, he can't be worse than he was last year. Let's go. Yeah, I think our defense is only going to help the offense more, and I think our improved offense is only going to help the defense more. It's what I'm excited about. But yeah, if our defense, if my bold prediction is correct, and we'll see, it's just a prediction. But if the Giants create a ton of turnovers this year, it's only going to help the offense. And I think the Giants' red zone offense this year can't be worse. It was 31st in the league last year. Now, going back to what I said about Graham Gano, is something that I said I could see being worse. Another area where last year the Giants were incredible, that it might be hard to match, was our red zone defense. Like, everybody talks about the red zone offense. We were 31st in the league, can't get worse. It could only get better. Well, last year, you know what we were in the red zone defense? We were second. So that's going to be hard to match, right? Last year, the New York Giants had a bend but don't break approach. They did a great job in the red zone. Hopefully, they can come close to matching that. But I think they're going to be more aggressive. I think they're going to create more turnovers for sure. Raphael, man, what's going on, buddy? Nick says Jones's numbers, 33 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. I could see it. I mean, obviously, that's very optimistic, but I could see it. I've been on record of saying I think he could get 30 touchdowns. So I wouldn't be shocked. You got to remember there's an extra game. And if he could stay healthy and play 17 games with the improved offense and the fact that I don't think we're going to be as conservative this year, I think 30 touchdowns is reasonable. What's going on there, John? Man, thanks for popping in the stream. Stand up, the entertainer. You're the man. Are you still comfortable with the Mets, or are you still worried that my Phillies could wake up and make a move? I wouldn't say I'm comfortable. I'm not frightened, but I wouldn't say I'm comfortable. I'm never comfortable as a Mets fan, right? You know, John, we blew a 7-game lead with 17 games to play in 2007. So I'm never completely comfortable with the New York Mets, but I think we're the best team. But we'll see what we end up doing at the deadline. We'll see what the Phillies end up doing at the deadline. And obviously we have a lot of injuries, right? Lindor and DeGrom, our 2 best players, are hurt right now. So we got to get healthy as well. So the Phillies are definitely, they're hanging around. That's for sure. What's going on there, Rommel? But you are wearing that Mets jersey at the end of the year. You know that. How do you feel about the Broncos matchup? They are projected to have a top 10 defense. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's what I worry about most is the defense. They have a very good secondary, and I think it's going to be a grinded out game. I said it earlier, I think for fans that are expecting the New York Giants with this revamped offense to go out there and Jones to throw 4 touchdowns week 1, limit your expectations, okay? Because they got a defense I respect. They have probably the best secondary in the league. They're right up there with our secondary. That's for damn sure. They have a great pass rush. So it is going to be a grinded out football game. It's going to be a game where Jones's job is going to be not to turn the football over and make plays here and there. But the most important thing in that game, don't help the opposing offense, because their offense is limited and our defense should be able to eat them up. It's going to be a game, in my opinion, week 1, where the team that makes less mistakes wins the football game. And I think Jones did a great job with that last year. The last 6 games, he only had 3 turnovers, and none of them were his fault, right? I think 2 went off of Evan Engram. The other one was a fumble where he was blindsided. So I think Jones, as much as we want to see him go out there and throw 5,000 touchdowns this year, you got to play to the strength of your opponents, and the strength of that team is definitely their defense. You got to be smart in that game. You don't force the ball. You rely on your strong defense in that game against that weak offense. Misleading story, man. What's going on? How excited are you to see the edge group play? I mean, I'm really excited. Obviously, I think a player. What's up there, Gucci Lopez, man? Thanks for popping in. I think a player that everybody's excited to see, probably the rookie that most people are excited to see, is Azeez Ojulari. He's got great bend off the edge. He's a rookie, though, right? You don't want to set your expectations too high. I mean, for God's sakes, the Giants' rookie record is 5.5 sacks. B.J. Hill. So if he gets 6 or 7 sacks, he'd set a record in Giants history for a rookie. So I don't want to set my expectations too high, but yeah, I think he's got really good bend off the edge. I said it before the draft started, of any edge rusher in last year's draft class, I thought he fit the scheme the best. So I think he's going to be a good fit. Obviously, the Giants in the past have looked for Georgia edge rushers. He's versatile. He can do multiple things. So I'm excited about him. Lorenzo Carter is one of my favorite players on this defense when he's healthy. I thought he looked good his first 3 games last year. We'll see if he's healthy, though. He obviously suffered a very serious injury. Same thing with O'Shane Zimenez. I don't know how healthy he's going to be. But, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited, especially for Azeez Ojulari. I'm excited to see what he's got. Entertainer the Sauce God, he says, do you think the Bucs game will be close like last year? And I cannot wait for the Tyreek Hill versus Dory Jackson. I mean, it's tough to say. I don't know what the Bucs are going to look like when we play them. It's tough to say, but what I'll say is, and I've said this several times, going into this year, I'm not scared of anybody. Like, I'm not saying we're going to beat everybody we play. We're not. I have us winning 9 or 10 games. But last year, going into the season, I had 4 or 5 losses before the year started. I said, there's no way we can win those games. I don't feel that way this year. Because when you have a defense, in my opinion, that's as strong as the New York Giants defense is, you got a shot. If you could create some turnovers, you could, create some pressure against the opposing quarterback. And I think we're going to have a better offense. We're going to have a more well-rounded team. You got a second-year head coach now. They're more acclimated to their schemes. So would I be surprised if the New York Giants go toe-to-toe with the Bucs? No. I'm going to probably pick the Bucs in that game, but I think the Giants could definitely give them a tough matchup. I think we can give anybody a tough matchup. I really do. I don't think I'm not going to go into any game this year expecting to get blown out. I'm not because I think our defense is very good. Sticky fingers, man. What's going on? Who gets more sacks, Ellerson or Shelton? I mean, depending on how many snaps Ellerson gets, but I'd have to go with Ellerson. Danny Shelton's not out there to get sacks. Shelton's out there to just be a run stuffer. He's Tony Siragusa. He's a big fella that you stick in there to clog up the middle, make sure that they don't get, yards up the middle with the run. So I don't expect Shelton to get any sacks. It may be one. So I'd have to go with Ellerson Smith. I don't know how big of a role Ellerson Smith's going to have. That'll be interesting to see. I think he'll be a situational edge rusher, but obviously you got to go with Ellerson Smith. What's going on there, Roman Mannix? Popping in the stream. Osama Bin Laden in the chat. What's going on? JC Silva says, who is shiftier, quicker, Tony or Tyreek Hill? I mean, I got to go with Tyreek Hill. I mean, Tyreek Hill is probably the shiftiest, quickest player in the league. But I think, and I'm not comparing him to him at all, okay? But I think he's that type of player. I think Kadarius Toney is that type of player. In the right offense, he could be an explosive player like Tyreek Hill, a guy that you can move around, that you can use in a lot of different ways. So I think that is in terms of the type of player he is, I think he's similar to Tyreek Hill. But obviously, I would go with Tyreek Hill. What's going on, Rolly, man? Chris, every year is a different team. That's true, Rolly. John, man, what's going on? He says the Giants stink. With the Eagles signing the other corner, I know everyone is not even talking. You're talking about Steven Nelson. About my Eagles, it's a mistake thinking we suck. I'm not going to completely write you off, man. I'm not going to say that you guys, are going to be a complete pushover. It's the NFC East, man. It's going to be a tough battle when we play you guys. I don't think we're going to go in there and beat you guys 40-0. And if you guys could stay healthy, which you haven't been able to do, you have a good offensive line. It's going to come down to your quarterback and your team staying healthier than they have over the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not scared of you, team. I'll tell you that right now. Jalen Hurts doesn't scare me. But, yeah, I'm not writing you guys off. I think we're going to sweep you. But I think they'll be close games. I don't think we're blowing you guys out. Let's see what we got here. He was going 4-13. We'll see. Irishman, glad to see you, man. How you doing, buddy? You going to stream the preseason this year? Yes, I'm going to stream 2 preseason games. I'm not going to be able to do the first one. I'm going to do the second and the third. So I'll be doing 2 preseason games this year. The first one I won't be able to do, but I'm sure I'll probably have a stream up maybe the day before, talking about, I guess, what we're looking to see in the preseason game, and then maybe the day after. I'll definitely have a video also up talking about, what I felt about the preseason game and everything else. But I'm not going to be able to stream the first one. That's the only game other than, Giant games I'm going to this year, which I'll go to at least 1. I might be going to 2, maybe even 3. But if I'm not going to the game, I'll be streaming it. But I can't stream the first preseason game. Sticky fingers, man. What's going on? Who gets more snaps, Ross or Love? Ooh, that's a good one. I would go. I mean, if we stay completely healthy, I think I'd go with Ross if he makes the team. Because, I mean, our safety group is super strong. We bring in Aaron Robinson now with Darnay Holmes that's going to compete in the slot. And the Giants last year, if you remember, weren't in love with Julian Love. Like, I know at the end of the year he got some playing time because our second cornerback was horrible, but he wasn't getting a lot of snaps to start the year. So, without injuries, I think Ross. I don't think Julian Love's going to get a lot of playing time without injuries, but it's nice to see that. But I think it also depends on how they feel about Xavier McKinney, right? I think we all just assume that Xavier McKinney is going to step in there because we all love the pick and he's going to be great this year. I don't know. With Joe Judge, the best players are going to play. So if they feel like, to start the year, Julian Love is better, he'll get the playing time. We'll see. But I would lean Ross. But if there's injuries, I think Julian Love's obviously a very good player to be able to step in. Rolly, man, thank you very much. Chris, we got to be careful with saying our defense is that good. I understand we had good defense last year. Every year is a new team. We may not be the same. And you're right. I mean, I think you look at the 2016 team, and I think we all just assumed going into 2017. 2016, the Giants probably had the best defense in football the last 8 games of the year when they really started to hit their stride, and we all just assumed they're just going to pick up where they left off. They're going to be great. you're right. I mean, if you want to be conservative, you're right. I mean, you could definitely say James Bradbury may not match what he did last year. Martinez may not match what he did last year. Leonard Williams may not match what he did last year. So I think that's a fair point. I personally believe in Patrick Graham. I saw what Patrick Graham did with the defense, the talent that he had on this defense last year, what he got out of it. And I also look at our schedule, Roldy, and like I look at the offenses. Obviously the Chiefs scare me, the Bucs scare me, but I don't know. I don't feel like we're going up against the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Let's put it that way. And I think we're gonna have a good defense this year. But yeah, I mean, I think that's fair to say for sure. What's going on there, Logix, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. What's going on there, Udo? Dark horse player on the roster right now that no one is talking about. Nick, man, hope you're having a good summer, man. Great subscriber of mine. Dark horse player on the roster that no one's talking about. Huh. All right, I want to give you like a player that I think could have like a real impact. That maybe is a little unsung, that nobody's really talking about. I'm not going to give you any of the corners; they're all being talked about. Everybody's talking about the secondary. That's a really good question. All right, I'm going to say it. I don't want to say it. Okay, Nick, I don't want to say it because every year I bring up his name, he disappoints me. And I don't even want to go as far to say that I'm predicting it. Evan Engram. I said it. Nick, I said it. I regret saying it, but I said it. What's going on? I see that Authentics in the chat. Glad to see you, my man. How you doing, my man? I'm gonna say I think he's gonna get better opportunities with the improved weapons we have on this team. I think he's gonna see weaker coverage. And he's a mismatch. So if he can hold on to the ball, I don't want to say it, okay, but I could see him being a lot better than some Giants fans think going this year. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not even predicting it. Duran, man, what's going on, man? Do you worry Bradbury regresses with more man plays? That's a good question because Bradbury throughout the majority of his career has been utilized in zone a lot, right? Even with the Carolina Panthers, I remember I watched a lot of film on Bradbury after we got him going up against, the likes of all those great wide receivers in the NFC South. He played predominantly zone, and he played a lot of zone last year. So that's actually a really good question. I think the Giants will be smart. I think they're going to play more man this year, but I don't think they're going to play exclusively man. So I think Patrick Graham will put his players in the best position to succeed. So I'm not too worried about it. But it is a very good question. Papa, man, what's going on, man? I want to see Pettis more. You want to see Pettis more than just in general? Or do you mean more than somebody on the roster? And what's going on there, Ms. Rye, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. He says, that's who I've been picking. Ingram's going to have I don't want to say it because he disappoints me every year. But I feel like this year is set up for him. But I felt the same way last year, and I was wrong. So that's why I'm not predicting it. But as far as Pettis goes, I think it's going to be hard for Pettis to really see a big-time role in this with the Giants this year because of how deep we are at that position, unless we have injuries. But I like Pettis. I thought Pettis did a good job with the Giants when he got an opportunity last year. Sticky Fingers, man, he says, who lets up more sacks, Hernandez or Lemieux? I would have to go with Lemieux. Lemieux last year let up 5 sacks in basically a half season's worth of games at the guard position. Hernandez, I think, has given up like 7 or 8 sacks his entire career. I think Hernandez is going to be pretty good this year, but I worry about his shift to the right side. I definitely worry about our guards for sure, but I'm a little bit more worried about Lemieux than Hernandez this year. Chris Bryan, man, what's going on? Free me from Chicago. I want to play with Pete. Let's do it. Let's do it, man. Rudolph's not a bad pick either, Alvin. I saw you unsung players. That's not a bad pick either. I don't know how much they're going to use Rudolph, but I think Rudolph's going to be used a lot in the red zone. So I could see Rudolph having like a stat line of like, I don't know, 410 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns. Like I could see him being used a lot in the red zone. That's not a bad pick. It's not a bad pick. What's going on there, Hot Nickels, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Tate Crowder's not, if he gets the opportunity to play, he's not a bad pick either. Why don't the Giants have a good backup? To be honest, somebody asked that earlier, Thor. I think it's due to money, man. I think that's the reasoning. I think that they felt like they needed to use the money that they had to improve the team around Daniel Jones rather than getting a backup and not being able to sign a guy like Kyle Rudolph or Kenny Golladay. I think that they felt like they needed to use the money that they had to improve the weapons for Daniel Jones. I think that's the answer. And John, man, thank you very much. Is this do or die for Garrett and Barkley? Yes, for Garrett. I think yes. I think it's do or die for a lot of people. Well, I mean, I don't want to use that term, right? Because I don't know what your term of do or die is. Is your term of do or die they have to make the playoffs? They have to win 10 games? I think Garrett, the offense needs to be better, much better this year. They need to be more explosive. They need to have more big plays. They can't have their starting quarterback throw 11 touchdowns. So the offense needs to be much better this year. There need to be improvements. So from that aspect, I think Garrett's off the team if the offense doesn't show significant progress this year with the weapons that they brought in. Barkley, it's tough to say. Like Barkley, I don't know how healthy he's going to be. I don't know how much they're going to use him in the offense to start the season. But if Barkley wants a long-term commitment at the end of this year, yes, he needs to have a big year. I don't know if I don't think they'll move on from him because they have the fifth-year option. So I don't think they'll move on from him if they kind of ease him back and he doesn't have a great year. And then going into next year, we're going to say the same thing. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to play 70 games, and he's got to be an elite back to get that second contract. So I think Garrett's more pressure than Barkley this year in terms of being on next year's roster. What do you think about I made a video on that, Elijah. Listen, I don't think it's going to happen. Do I think there's a small possibility? Yeah, but there would be a lot of things that the New York Giants would have to overcome. Obviously, the biggest thing being money. Chandler Jones makes a lot of money. I think he'd make our defense top 3 or 4 in the league. That's why I'd be excited to get him. But do I think it's going to happen? No. Do I think there's a small chance? Sure, but I don't think it's going to happen. Glad to see Authentic in the chat, by the way, man. What's going on, Authentic, man? Hope you're doing well, buddy. New Sound says, when has there been a line for Barkley? There hasn't been. There hasn't been. That's why listen, I love Barkley. I wear his jersey proudly, man. There has not been a line for Barkley since he's been in the league. The line, here's what I'll say about the line. His rookie year, the line was good. The second half. The first half, they were horrible. The last 8 games, the line was good. I would say they were at least average the second half. They were not average over the entire year. The first half, they were horrible. 2019, they were abysmal. And then last year, when he was in the lineup, they were horrible. So he has not had a line. And I think it's a major reason why people criticize that pick, and more so than anything else, is they didn't have the, running back is a short-term position, right? Running backs don't last on average longer than 28 or 29 at the top of their game, and we didn't have an offensive line to support him when we brought him in. Obviously, the Giants thought, here's what I always say, like when that Barkley discussion comes up, because it's still a very popular discussion on Twitter amongst Giants fans, on YouTube amongst Giants fans, if Will Hernandez panned out, which to this point he is not, and Nate Solder panned out, which obviously he did not, the Barkley pick wouldn't be criticized as much as it was because the offensive line would be pretty good. I think obviously Gettleman was, he missed, but his plan was, I'm going to get a really good left tackle. I'm going to get a guard who I think most Giant fans were excited when we drafted Will Hernandez, who was a first-round talent. It didn't work out. Had it worked out, the Barkley pick wouldn't be nearly as criticized, but it didn't work out. Sticky Fingers, man, thank you very much. What would Kid Boo look like with Mike Glenn? Taller. He'd look about 5'1" if he had Mike Glennon's neck. Shockey was great, man. I loved Shockey, but at the same time, I also loved when he was gone. I love Shockey, though. Shockey's one of my favorite Giants. But after he left, you saw Eli Manning really progress as a quarterback. Let's see what we got here. True Rapper says, not going to lie to you, the starting line this year scares the daylight savings out of me. One injury is, I agree. What I will say, though, and we don't have a good line, but I do think our backups are actually better than they were last year. Because we have guys that are proven, they've been in the league. Like Zach Fulton's not good. I don't want him to start. But I think he's a pretty good backup. Like I think he's a solid backup guard. I don't want him in the lineup. I think Solder is a decent backup tackle. Like I don't think he's a downgrade from Cam Fleming. So I think our backups are okay. Like I don't want them in the lineup, but I think they're okay. T, thank you very much. We got to suffocate the Broncos offense and control the time of possession to get a W. So do we run the ball, then let DJ loose in week 2? I actually said that earlier, T. I actually think week 3 is really where you're going to see the New York Giants let Daniel Jones loose. Because you look at Washington. Now Washington's pass rush is the best in the league. You're coming off a short break. They're only going to have 4 days between games. I think they're going to play it close to the vest. Not as close to the vest as last year when they never threw the ball. But I don't think they're going to air out the football until week 3. I think the first 2 weeks, if the Giants are going to win the game, it's going to be by playing smart, not turning the ball over, and the defense is going to win them football games. I think week 3 against the Atlanta Falcons, That's where you'll see them open it up. And then they're going to have a favorable matchup with Dallas week 5, where you could see them open it up. The Saints obviously have a good defense, but it's on the turf. I could see the Giants having a good offensive game that week as well. So the first 2 games, I think the Giants are going to play 50-50 in terms of their play selection. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. That's just my prediction. And then weeks 3, 4, and 5, you'll see them open it up more. Soldier does suck. I don't want him starting. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a solid backup, but he does suck. Kalen, what's going on, man? Glad to see you, buddy. How you been? If Daniel Jones does not show up in 2021, do you think the Giants will draft Spencer Rattler? I mean, I have no idea. I don't know where they're going to be picking. I don't know how good Spencer Rattler is going to do this year. I don't know. What I will say is if they like a quarterback in next year's draft and Daniel Jones sucks this year, they'll try to get him. Stand up. What's going on there? Jersey Light, man. Thanks for popping in. Can you predict all of the NFC East record? I mean, I'm not looking at schedules right now, but here's what I'll say without looking at schedules. And obviously this is just throwing darts at a board because a lot of what a record is based on is how healthy your team stays and how healthy the opponents you play stay. A lot of times, teams that have a better record, they get fortunate when they get teams on their schedule at a certain time, kind of how the New York Giants are getting fortunate week 3 and week 4 so far with Michael Thomas being out, Julio Jones being traded. Here's what I'll say. I think Dallas, the Giants, and Washington are all going to be between 8 and 10 wins. I think they're all going to be between 8 and 10 wins. I don't think any one of them is going to exceed 10 wins, and I don't think any one of them is going to be below 8. I think they're all going to be within 2 games of one another, and I think the Eagles are going to win like 5 or 6. I think the Giants, Washington, and Dallas are going to be the class of the division. I think they're going to all be between 8 and 10 games. That's my prediction. And another thing I've said, I think the NFC East this year is going to be a lot better than a lot of people think. For the simple reason, last year, there were 5 new head coaches in the NFL. 5. You had the Carolina Panthers had a new head coach, obviously with Matt Rule. You had Ron Rivera with Washington. You had Joe Judge with the New York Giants. Obviously, Dallas had a new head coach. And I forgot the other one. But there were 5 new head coaches last year. And last year, you had no preseason. You had the pandemic. So it was obviously a disadvantage to have a new head coach last year. Nobody would debate that. Not to mention the New York Giants had new schemes, both sides of the ball, so on and so forth. But the reason I think the NFC East is going to be the Browns. The Browns were the other head coach. But the Browns had an established football team, right? They were kind of disappointing the year before. They had a very active offseason, kind of like the Giants did this year. But 60% of the new head coaches in the NFL last year were in the NFC East. And I'm not saying the NFC East has a ton of talent, but it was definitely at a disadvantage last year when you factor that in. 3 out of the 5 new head coaches in the league were in our division in a year like that. So I think the NFC East is going to be better than people think. I could see all 3 of those teams honestly having a winning record. I could see all of them being like 9-8, 9-8, 10-7. I think they're going to be very close, bunched together. Yeah, Stefanski with the Browns. What do you think the New York Giants season will end? What do you think the New York Giants 9-8, Elijah, I got him at 9-8, 10-7 in that ballpark. And Giants NY for life, man. What's going on, buddy? Hey, you think we have what it takes to be? No, I don't. I mean, you never know. Football's an unpredictable game year in and year out. If certain things bounce your way, things can happen. But no, I'm not putting those kind of expectations on this football team. We haven't won a playoff game in almost 10 years. We have a quarterback that still has not beaten a winning football team. We got to take baby steps. So no, I'm not putting those kind of expectations. Playoffs. I think we can make the playoffs. I don't know if someone already said this, but did you hear about her? Yes. Nobody has said it, but I did hear about it. I saw it on Twitter today. I think I forgot who tweeted it, but yeah, I saw that he put on a lot more muscle. He lost 20 pounds, which is good to hear. Definitely good to hear. What's going on there? Michael B says the Eagles are poop. Do you think Washington is being overrated this year? No, I don't actually. Washington doesn't scare me. I don't think they're an unbelievable team. So if maybe somebody's saying that, they're being overrated. But I think Washington has one of the better defenses in football. I think they're one of the top 3 or 4 defenses in the league. They probably have the best defensive line, if not one of the top 2 or 3 in the league. So their defense is legit. They added to their weapons. They got Curtis Samuel. They got some good weapons, obviously, with Scary Terry. Their running back was really good last year in his rookie season. So, no, I obviously Fitzpatrick's a major question mark. You don't know what you're going to get there. And people just look at the stats, and they'll say, Fitzpatrick, look at the stats. He was a top 15 quarterback the last 2 years. Yeah, okay. Because half those games, he was a top 5 quarterback in the league. The other half, he was a bottom 25. So he's the most inconsistent quarterback in the league. So you don't know what you're going to get with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So that is the biggest question mark with the Washington football team. But in terms of their overall team, no, I respect their team. I think they got a good football team. Let's go Bears. What's going on there, Connor? Man, thanks for popping in the stream, man. What are my ceilings and floors? What are my ceilings and floors for all 5? I mean, that's tough. I mean, I'm not going to give, statistics, but I mean, ceilings, I think the ceiling for Thomas would be Pro Bowl level. I think he's got that potential. Obviously the floor would be him, playing like as one of the worst left tackles in football this year. I think all 5 of their floors are bottom of the barrel offensive linemen, because that's basically what we saw last year from a lot of them. But I think obviously the one with the biggest ceiling is Andrew Thomas. I think Gates' ceiling may be a slightly above average center. Same for Hernandez at the guard spot. I would say, slightly above average guard. Lemieux, maybe average would be his ceiling. I'm not going to have super high expectations for Lemieux this year. And Parrott, yeah, I could see him being an average right tackle. I think that's what you're looking at in terms of their ceiling. But Tana streams are back, and so is football. Life is good right now. What's going on, Colin, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. Guys, let's be honest here. Everyone in the NFC, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I don't think everybody in the NFC sucks. I really don't. I'm not saying they're great, but I don't think the Giants suck. I don't think the Cowboys suck. I don't think Washington sucks. I think they could all beat good teams if things go their way. If Dallas's defense is better than people think it's going to be, they could be a really good team. Obviously, they have an explosive offense. If Fitzpatrick is good, Washington could be really good. If Daniel Jones is good, the Giants could be really good. I don't think every team in the division sucks. I really don't. How many sacks do you think Azeez will have? It's tough to predict that, because I don't know how much they're going to utilize him. I think the Giants are going to have a lot of different packages. I think the Giants are going to have more sacks this year, in terms of average per game. I don't know how many Azeez will have. I'm not going to put super high number on it for him. If he has 6 or 7 sacks, that's great. I do think the Giants are going to exceed what they had last year as a team, though. I think you're going to see a lot of blitzes from the secondary. I think they're going to get a lot of sacks through coverage, through deception. They had 40 sacks last year. I think they'll have at least 45 this year with the extra game. We're going to be more aggressive this year. Big Vito, man, what's going on, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. Do you see the Giants cutting the fullback out of their – No, I don't, actually. And I'm going to tell you why. It's a good question, JC, because I was actually thinking about that. I forgot the guy's name, but the Giants signed the Earth Day guy, right? The Earth Day fullback, whatever his name is. I forgot his name. I don't think he's going to make the team, but I think the fact that the Giants signed him leads me to believe that they plan to have Eli Penny on this team this year. Otherwise, why would you add a second fullback? I think they plan to have Eli Penny make this team this year. I think there will be a fullback. Now, I was surprised last year at how little. Yeah, Gillespie, that's it. I was surprised last year at how little the New York Giants used the fullback. I think it was like 11%, 13% of the time. Jason Garrett offenses in the past used the fullback more. They did use Caden Smith a little bit in that role, but I was a little surprised at how little they used him. But he's not the best blocking fullback. But I do think they'll have a fullback this year. Yeah, like the stream, subscribe, ring the bell. During the season, I'm going to be doing these a lot. We're going to have a lot to talk about. Obviously, recapping games, talking about the future game. I'll probably go around the league, talk about the week's matchups, the over-unders, the spreads, everything else. We'll do it live during the midday stream. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to be talking football with you guys throughout the whole season. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning into the streams and being the best supporters on YouTube. I say it all the time. Brandon Rogers, man, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for popping in, buddy. Jameson says, I thought, who do you think will be the MVP will be on the Giants in 2021? The MVP of the Giants in 2021? Ooh, good question. If the Giants are good, Daniel Jones. If the Giants are good, Daniel Jones. If the Giants are good. And Michael, man, thank you so much, man, for the $5 donation. I appreciate it, man. And Entertainer Source God says, spike the like, guys. I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much, buddy. If the Giants are good, I'll go Daniel Jones. I think he's obviously. And Blind Squirrel Sports says, new to the channel, cool show. I appreciate that, man. I'm going to be doing this a lot. I just love talking sports, and I love hanging out with you guys. Did this a lot during free agency. It was a lot of fun. those streams blew up. We had like 1,700 people in here. Those were a lot of fun. And a lot of you guys like the midday stream. So I'm going to try to do that a lot during the season when there's stuff to talk about. So, I just love talking sports. I love talking Giants. And obviously in season, we'll have other stuff to talk about too. We'll have main storylines around the league. We'll talk about the NFC East, whatever you guys want to talk about. But man, I appreciate everybody for being here. You guys are my co-hosts. That's what makes this fun for me. Obviously, I love doing the show with Bad Dog. I love talking with Mike Too Nice when I can. Bobby, Justin, anybody in the Giants community whenever I can. But you guys are my co-hosts, man. I love using you guys as like a co-host. We talk about sports together. It's a lot of fun. It's almost like I'm at a bar. And Michael, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. You going live tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm actually going to be live on Sim's channel, Nothing But Knicks, for the NBA draft. I'm assuming that's why you're asking. He's having an NBA draft party in Atlantic City. He asked me to go like a month ago. Love Sim, man. So yeah, I definitely said I'll make the trip. Haven't been to Atlantic City in a couple of years, so maybe I'll win some money. And I'm gonna enjoy the NBA draft there. But I'll be live on his channel. And Simon, man, thank you very much. It is Earth Day, my dudes. Yeah, that guy. Galaspia. It's Earth Day, my dudes. Let's see. Which team do you see? Jedi says, and Jedi, glad to see you. Hope you're having a great summer. She been with me forever. She says, which team do you see surprisingly make the playoffs? A team that is not the big expectations making it. And which team that made the playoffs last year do you see having the biggest disappointment? Ooh, okay. Okay. All right. Let me think of I'll go with the disappointment first. Because, all right, so to be a disappointment, it has to be a team that has expectations, right? So I'm not going to say a team that made, like the Bears, for example. I don't think the Bears are going to make the playoffs this year. So going into the year, I don't really view that as a disappointment, right? So I'm not going to just look at last year's playoffs. I'm going to look at teams that I think a lot of people think are going to have a good year, that they think are going to make the playoffs, that I think are going to be worse than the majority of people think. I'm going to give you two teams that I think are going to be worse than people think. One is going to be a shocker to a lot of people. The other, I don't think so. First one, they didn't make the playoffs last year, but I think they won 10 games. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, to me, this year is a team that I think is going to be worse than people think. I could see them winning like 7 games. I'm not a believer in Tua. I think they take a step back this year. I think the AFC East got better. Obviously, the New England Patriots went out there. They spent a boatload of money, right? In free agency, they improved their team. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be good. And I even think the New York Jets aren't going to be a pushover this year. I like some of the things they did this offseason. So I think the Dolphins are one of my disappointing teams this year. And then the other team that I would say is actually also in the AFC, and this, a lot of people may disagree with me on. I think the Tennessee Titans miss the playoffs this year. They may win 8 or 9 games. I think the Tennessee Titans miss the playoffs this year. I think the Colts win that division. In terms of a surprise team, I am going to go surprise team. Okay, this isn't really a surprise, but I could see the San Francisco 49ers making the Super Bowl this year. That's how high I am on them. They had a ton of injuries last year, and they're a year removed from the Super Bowl. I could see them making the Super Bowl this year, and I don't think enough people are talking about it. So if you consider that a surprise, I would list them. I think the Vikings are a team with some potential. They have a lot of young talent on that team. I could see them being a bit of a surprise this year. So those are two teams that I would list. I think the 49ers could be better than people think. I could easily see them winning the NFC West. The Colts I love. I think the Colts are going to win the South, Thor. Let's see what we got here. But my biggest disappointment team this year, I think, is the Dolphins. True Rappler says, Chris Gravedigger. I appreciate that, man, Gravedigger, man. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. What's up there, Ryan Green, man? Thanks for being here, buddy. Why don't you like Tua? I mean, he wasn't good. I mean, I'm rooting for Tua. I like Tua. I hope he does well. He seems like a great kid. He wasn't good last year. He got pulled. I don't think he's going to be that good. Please answer for me. I've been a diehard Giants fan my whole life, and I'm going to my first Giants game this year. Any advice? Road game, week 2, Giants versus Washington. Just have fun, man. Just have fun. I've been to FedEx Field. It's all right. It's pretty good. That's actually the only non-stadium I've been to, like outside of MetLife Stadium and the old Meadowlands. I've been there. It's a nice stadium. It's a good stadium. That should be actually a really good game, so hopefully enjoy it and just have fun, man. Get there early. Make sure you tailgate. If you're old enough to drink, have some beers and enjoy the game, man. Let's see what we got here. I'm worried about how many question marks this team has. Danny, Kenny, and Adoree with their massive contracts, O-line, rookies, edge, rush. And I understand it. It's definitely not a lock that this team's going to be great this year. It's not. We have a lot of question marks. There's no doubt about it. But what I'll say to you is most teams have question marks. There's very few teams that don't have question marks. And, even the best teams have question marks. It's just that the quarterbacks are great. If Daniel Jones takes a big step up, all of a sudden those won't be question marks. Like he'll be I'm not saying he doesn't need help, right? The offensive line has to be mediocre, but Daniel Jones, a very good quarterback, will make you forget about some of those question marks. And Daniel Jones is going to be the key to this season. We all know that. We need him to take a big step up this year. Now, Chris, not with Julio, they go into the. Michael, like I said, I think it'll surprise a lot of people. I'm very high on the Colts. This year. And I think the AFC North is going to get two teams. I guess that's my shocker. I think the Titans missed the playoffs. You really never know what happens. Yeah, it's very unpredictable. Thank you so much for answering me. Grew up in New England my whole life and live in North Carolina now, so I'm pumped. That's a great game to go to. Early in the season, I'm a little worried about that game, to be honest with you. It usually should. By the way, let me get some water. Usually, short rest, Thursday night football on the road spells disaster. So I'm a little bit worried about that game. We've had Washington's number in the past. We'll see. I think the first game and third game are must wins, and if we ever win that Washington game on top of it, and we get off to a 3-0 start, we're going to have a nice, fun season ahead of us. That's going to be a tough one to win, but I think we definitely could. Well, it's not like Washington, I think, is much better than we are. I think we're pretty comparable. But I think that'll be a tough game. But I think we have to win our first game. We have to beat Denver. We never – I did a video on this. The New York Giants, over their first 3 games over the last 8 years, do you know what their record is? You know what the New York Giants winning percentage is in their first 3 games over the last 8 years? They are 6-18. They have a winning percentage of 25% over their first 3 contests over the last 8 years. And obviously we've had a very bad winning percentage over the last 8 years, but not that bad. And we've always gotten off the bad start. Some of it has to do with that we play a very challenging schedule. Some of it has to do with the fact that we have a lot of turnover. New head coach, new offensive line, new playbook, blah, 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 blah. So this year, I think we play probably our softest part of the schedule at the beginning of the year. The Giants have to get off to a good start. And I think the first and third games are must-win games. We should beat Atlanta at home, and I think we should beat Denver at home. And if we could ever steal that Washington game, you get off to a nice 3-0 start. Great stuff, dude. Glad I caught you. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for being here, Gazman Superstar, man. Yeah, we're not good at the beginning. I mean, we haven't been good at all, but we've been especially bad at the beginning. And the only year we made the playoffs, 2016, we started 2-1. We won our first game and we started 2-1. I think we started 2-3 though. I think we lost our next 2 after that, but we got off to a 2-1 start and we won our first game. And 2016, I also believe, is the only time in the last 9 years that we've won our first game. We've lost our first game 8 out of the last 9 years. And this year we have an opportunity to win. I think we play a team that we should beat at home. What's going on there, Seth, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. What are you thinking of Kadarius Toney? He's been a headache. Yeah, I'm not going to read too much into it, Obi. Of course, I think Giants fans, myself included at times, I guess because we've been let down so much with our draft picks in the past, right? We go in with, I guess, the mentality of what can go wrong will go wrong. And when you start to hear any little thing with these rookies that may be going wrong, you start to panic. And you're like, oh, my God, this guy didn't show up for voluntary minicamp, blah, 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 blah. And I think it kind of gets blown out of proportion because of the bad history we've had with some of our players in the locker room and everything else on our rookies. But I'm going to give this kid a real chance. I think I'm not going to read too much into it. Yes, there's been some things that I think you're at least allowed to be a little bit cautious and say, is this going to go towards that path? But by no means do I think it's something that I'm worried about yet. Let's see how the kid performs. And at the end of the day, if the guy shows up on Sundays, we're not going to be talking about it. Nobody's going to be talking about that he missed voluntary minicamp and all this other stuff. So let's see how he performs this year. Under a lot of pressure. And what I worry about as a Giants fan, from the fan base, not that it really matters, but what I worry about from the fan base is much like Andrew Thomas last year, because I don't think Kadarius Toney is going to have a role to start his career where he's going to be putting up these gaudy fantasy stats and he's going to be getting 10 targets that fans are going to say, oh, he's a bust 4 games into his career. And I don't think that's the end of the year saying to yourself, this guy is not going to have a primary role in this offense, right? That's going to be Barkley. That's going to be Galladay. That's going to be Shepard, even Slayton. Toney's going to be used in a certain way, and as the season progresses, he may get an expanded role. But I think Giants fans have to be patient with him. He's not your traditional Julio Jones type receiver. He's a guy that they have to find a way to get integrated into the offense. And I think as he progresses as a pro, he'll get a more expanded role. But like last year, you look at Andrew Thomas. Week 3, people are like, oh, he's a bust. I see half the Giants video makers saying, oh, Andrew Thomas, is he a bust? People in the media, is he a bust? Like, we got to be patient with our rookies and give them some time. Adam, man, thank you very much. I'm confused. Did Kelvin actually take food? No, that was a joke. That was a joke. Dominic, man, thank you very much, man. What's going on, Isaiah, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. He says, missed you, Chris. Let's get this week 1 W. We need it, man. Dominic, we need a week 1 W. But no, that was a complete joke on Twitter today about the food. Fantasy has ruined football for everyone who's obsessed with stats. The numbers can lie. I agree with you. I want to hear your thoughts on my 12-man fantasy league. Tannehill, Henry. Tannehill, I guess, decent. Henry's obviously great. I don't know if it's a PPR league. Chubb's going to be great. Diggs, top 3 or 4 receiver. DJ, that's a really good team. That's a really good team for a 12-team league. Oni, man, what's going on, buddy? Hey, Chris, that couple weeks without you was horrible. Yeah, I had to take some. I had nothing to talk about. So I just took some time off. But I appreciate it, man. I'm excited to be talking sports with you guys again. Thank you guys for all the support you guys always show, man. I love people who say they aren't sold on Tua. The guy played at 60% last year, dealt with 7-10. Wow. You talk about the NFC East improvement, Waddle, Phillips, and Holland. We haven't improved. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. What did Tua do last year? Prove me wrong. Listen, I hope Tua's great. I got nothing against Tua. I wasn't impressed last year. Prove me wrong. You're obviously a Dolphins fan, I assume, but prove me wrong. I don't think Tua's that good. Maybe he will be. Giannis, man, what's going on, man? Evan Engram better be better this year. He can't be worse in terms of his drops. Bro's in a 4-man. Yeah, the only question there, I guess, is the quarterback, but that's a really good team. How long have you seen? Do you think we keep 4 tight ends? I think there's certain weeks where we could have 4 tight ends. I don't think they're going to go into week 1 with 4 tight ends. I think they'll have 3 tight ends because I think they're going to have a lot of linebackers that they roster. I think they're going to have at least 6. We're too talented at the wide receiver spot. I think we're going to roster 6 wide receivers. I could see certain weeks us having 4 tight ends, depending on the game plan that the New York Giants want to run. But I don't think they'll roster 4 tight ends to start the year. Would I be shocked? No. I could see them, Toilo and Caden Smith both making the team. But I think they'll go in with 3. That's my prediction, at least. But will you be watching the ESPN? Yes, of course I will. ESPN 2, man. Authentic says, Tana, if you had to pick one wide receiver to have a breakout year between Toney and Ross, who would it be? Ooh. I mean, the only way I could see either one of them having a breakout year, and when you say breakout, I'm assuming you mean like at least 800-900 yards and a decent amount of touchdowns, is injuries. Because I just don't see them getting the role. But I would go Toney. I think Toney's more likely. I could see Ross having a decent role in this offense, but I think Toney's more likely. But I think it would require an injury to Shepard or an injury to Slayton for him to really get the opportunity to have a breakout year, at least statistically. I think Toney's presence on the football team just makes this a better offense because you have to be concerned with all the different things that he could do and the different looks that he's going to present to defenses. So I think he could have an impact, even if he only has 400 yards and 200 yards rushing, just his impact on the football field. But in terms of having a breakout statistical season, I would say Toney's more likely. But both scenarios, I think, would require injuries to our wide receiving core. What's going on, Damien, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. Cruz is the bench. Well, see, that to me is silly. I mean, Cruz literally had. What's going on, Jai? Glad to see you. Cruz literally had the greatest season ever by a New York Giants receiver. So if we're going to use that as the benchmark for a breakout year, well, it's probably never going to happen again. Victor Cruz literally had the greatest season in the history of New York Giants football at the wide receiver spot, as far as I'm concerned. When you factor in the impact that he had, you factor in that he wasn't really used the first 3 weeks of the year, and then you factor in what he did in the playoffs, like, yeah, I mean, if you're going to use that as the benchmark, well, then nobody's ever going to have a breakout season. Ryu says, glad you're back, Chris. I got practice soon, but it's great. I appreciate that, Ryu, man. Hopefully you're enjoying your day, man, and have a good day at practice. Yeah, Victor Cruz was ridiculous. Let's see. Shep was on the cover of the Marvel Collab, so I don't think we'll be trading him. Is that what Adam? Is that what you're going to use as the as your prediction? He was on the cover of a Marvel magazine, so we're not going to trade him. What's going on, NY Finest, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Chris, when will Talking Giants cut? I think it's going to be either August 1st or 2nd. I'm not sure which day yet, but it's either going to be August 1st or August 2nd. And S-Dubs, what's going on, buddy? Hey, Chris, if the Giants finish under 500, do you see a major roster overhaul coming? Do you think heads will roll? It's all relative to how they go under 500. Like, are there a lot of injuries? Do we have an unfortunate season? Here's what I'll say. Like, if Daniel Jones sucks, yes, I think we're going to have a major roster overhaul. I think we'll have a new GM. I think we'll have a new quarterback. Blah, 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 blah. But if, like, we have so many injuries where it's very hard for this team to compete, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Maris seems like he's committed to Gettleman, but read that for what you will. I still think the Giants are going to have to at least be a decent team this year for him to keep his job. But we'll see. I mean, I don't want to put a record on it. I think that's silly because there's a lot of factors that go into that. You don't know what's going to happen from within the season. I don't think you should ever put a record on it. Like last year, the Giants probably win 8 games if Barkley stays healthy, right? So we'll see. I mean, if the team stays relatively healthy and they're bad, yeah, I think there'll be a major overhaul. But let's see what we got here. Don't know if you talked about it yet, but I feel bad for Benjamin. Not going to lie. I wonder what. Yeah, I mean, I wonder what went wrong too. I'm sure that'll come out. Hopefully it comes out, so at least we get an answer as to why he was cut. And they may never give you the real answer. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for the guy, right? He's a guy that, by all accounts, worked hard to try to get an opportunity to come back. He was trying to change positions. But what I will say, Jai, I guess thinking about it from if you're somebody that's rooting for Kelvin Benjamin, thinking about it from an optimistic standpoint, it's better, at least in my opinion, that he gets cut now than he gets cut 2 weeks from now. Because now, at least, if a team wants him, he could go there and get an opportunity. If he got cut, say, after week 2 of the preseason, that doesn't give him much time to try to latch on with the football team. So in a way, it could be beneficial that he gets cut as quickly as he did. Let's see what we got here. What's besides Jones, who is the biggest question mark on? I mean, just the offensive line as a whole. I think that's actually our biggest question mark, Jones included. Just the offensive line as a whole. I'm not going to put it on a single individual, but just the line. That's by far our biggest question mark. That's been our biggest question mark forever. That's going to continue to be our biggest question mark. And it may get boring for you guys if the offensive line sucks again this year. I'll fast forward right now. Chris, who do you think we should take in the first round after the season? Offensive lineman. I'll say it every year until the offensive line is good. So I think it's the offensive line. I think the offensive line is the biggest question mark going into the year. And if it doesn't get fixed this year, I think they need to continue to use their draft capital as best they can to try to improve it. What's going on there, Bill? Man, thanks for popping in the stream, man. Judge and Benjamin got into a fight according to 365 Giants. I'm sure there'll be stuff that comes out. I'll definitely get, hopefully we get an answer. Have you heard Elijah Moore having an amazing camp? I mean, camp just started. How could he be having an amazing camp? But yeah, I'm sure Giants fans will complain about that if he has a big year. We'll see, man. We'll see. I don't read too much into the camp stuff. I'll start to believe in stuff once the games start, because right now you're going to hear nothing but great things about the majority of these players and rookies. Yeah, Bill, I can't wait for the season, man. O-line better be way better. It has to be. I don't know if it will be, but if we're going to be good, it has to be. Here's what I will say about the offensive line in terms of the statistics when people read it. Last year we had the worst offensive line in football, right? Statistically, or the second worst. I think it is a little bit misleading. Like last year, the first 8 games, not only were we the worst offensive line, we were like there was nobody close to as bad as we were. I think over the last 8 games, we were not the second worst offensive line in football. I think it was, and I think that's you could take something from that because it's a young offensive line that grew. Like once Joe Judge stepped in, I'm not even saying we were an average offensive line, but we were not one of the bottom 2 offensive lines in football. I think we were a much improved offensive line over the last 8 games. We definitely had our hiccups. We were really bad against the Arizona Cardinals. And the Ravens definitely gave us fits too. But I think our offensive line definitely improved last year. I think the second 8 games, we were not a bottom 2 offensive line in the league. Are you streaming the Mets anytime soon? I may, soon. Tomorrow I can't because I'm going to be in Atlantic City. So, and tonight, obviously, I'm not going to. But I'm sure I'll do a Met game here and there when I can, yes. I was shocked the Giants didn't take it all. Yeah, Elvis, I was shocked. I wasn't shocked after the first 2 rounds that they didn't take one because at that point, you're like, okay, are any of these guys going to actually make an impact on the team? But I was a bit surprised we didn't take one in the first 2 rounds. I was a bit surprised. Chris, sorry, I can't stay. No, Sing, I'm only going to go probably another 15, 20 minutes. I just wanted to go live, talk with you guys because I hadn't done it in a while. I know you guys love the live streams. There's still not a ton to talk about. Training camp got underway. I wanted to come on live, talk to you guys. I'll try to do these once a week when we have stuff to talk about midday. In season, like I said, we're going to do them at least 2 days a week, maybe even 3 in season because there'll be a lot to talk about. Tana, throw 50 on red in Atlantic City. I'm more of a blackjack guy, but maybe I will put 50 on red. Maybe I will put 50 on red, man. You see Bart Scott said DJ is a better athlete than Dak. I agree with that. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's not, and just in terms of an athlete, it's not like Dak's like this super fast quarterback. So that's not a crazy statement. It would be crazy if you said he was a better quarterback. Booze, man, thank you very much. I'm so excited for the season. Go Giants. Can't wait, man. I think we had a decent draft and an excellent free agency. I mean, I don't know how you could argue with the free agency. I mean, other than you worry about the long-term implications, I think that's a fair concern, right? Because they were big contracts. But in terms of, I mean, how could you be upset, right? We got the best wide receiver that was available. That was obviously a major need, and we got the best cornerback that was available at the time. So I don't know how you could be upset with what the New York Giants did in terms of trying to improve this year's team. You could at least say to yourself, I don't know if that was the smartest decision because maybe that's going to affect our cap in 2 or 3 years and we may not be ready to compete for a Super Bowl. And I'd understand that standpoint. But in terms of just this year's roster, I don't know how you could be upset out of what the New York Giants did in free agency. I met Bad Dog at the casino. Oh, that's awesome, man. Reality. Yeah, Bill, we're going to be doing a live stream in a couple of days. Austin, what's going on, man? Thanks for popping in. Who is going to be our starting offensive line? I mean, I think it's clear as day, at least right now, without injuries. It's going to be Thomas on the left. It looks like Lemieux's going to be next to him. You're going to have Gates at the center. They're going to shift Hernandez over to the right side, and you're going to have Parrott at the right tackle. I think that's your starting offensive line. Yeah, and at least there's familiarity there, even though Hernandez has never played right guard in the NFL. What will Xavier McKinney stat? I have no idea what McKinney's stats are going to be. I have no idea. What's going on, Logan? What you think if we just trade for an experienced old lineman, say it's bad? I just don't see it happening. I see a lot of people bringing up, should the Giants trade for an offensive lineman? I just don't see it happening. I mean, of course, I think the Giants, if there was an opportunity there, they would trade for an offensive lineman. But I don't see teams like lining up to try to trade offensive linemen, especially this late in the process. Zach, man, thank you very much. Jones will throw 34 touchdowns, 5 rush, 4,100 yards. I could see it. I could see it in a 17-game schedule. I got him a little lower, but I could see it. I got him right around 4,000 yards. I got him right around 30 passing touchdowns. So I'm not far off. I think you're a little bit higher than I would be, but I'm not far off what you think. If he plays 17 games, which is another major question mark, right? Because he's missed time each of the first 2 years. Duncan, man, thank you very much. If Jones is completely trash and we're trading for a quarterback next year, who would you rather swing the fences for? Aaron Rodgers or Watson, if he's still available? Probably Rodgers. I mean, first off, we don't know all the legal stuff with Deshaun Watson, and we'll see how that plays out. But I think Watson would just cost you so much more because he's so much younger. I don't think Rodgers would cost as much because you know that the Packers are stuck between a rock and a hard place. They absolutely have to trade him. Rodgers is going to be almost 40 years old. So I would look at it like Rodgers isn't going to cost me nearly as much. I don't have to deal with the headache in terms of the legal stuff with Deshaun Watson. I think Watson would cost you if the legal stuff was out of the way, which is the only way the New York Giants would ever do that trade, a minimum of 4 first-round picks. Minimum. That's like where you're starting. So I don't think Rodgers would cost that much because of his age. And I think Rodgers would still be a guy that could win you a Super Bowl in a 2 or 3 year stretch. What's going on there, BTS, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. Bob Hill says, I heard Benjamin went nuts and ate 4 and a lemon meringue pie before security was finally able to overpower him. Okay, I made that up. What's up, Bob? What's up, BTS, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. I told you what I heard. I heard that the reason he got cut, he lost a 40-yard dash to Dave Gettleman. I said it on Twitter. That's what I heard. I talked to somebody. I don't know how factual it is, but Gettleman and apparently, I think it was about 7:45 a.m. today, Gettleman and Benjamin, they ran a 40-yard dash against each other, and Gettleman just beat him. And then they proceeded to cut Kelvin Benjamin. That's what I heard. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. What's up, Austin, man? Thanks for popping in, buddy. I'm a big-time Daniel Jones believer. I need some followers to believe in our quarterback, Daniel Jones. I hope so, Jorge, man. I think he's going to have a good year. I have arrived, Scrubs. What's going on, DeGrom, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Kingzo, it's a joke. It's a joke. I see some people. I guess I said it so seriously. It's a joke. Gettleman did not. Gettleman would run like a 5-second 4-yard 40 time, 4-yard time, not a 40-yard time. So no, it's a joke. He didn't actually run a 40. What's up, Nona, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. No, I was joking, Nash. It's a joke. What's up there, Michael, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Shinobi says he was caught stealing food. No, it's a joke. That's not actually true, Shinobi. Scott says you had me, Chris. I don't think any players are worth 4 first-round picks, and Giants will never give that many first-round. I mean, Bill, you may think that, but, I mean, how often do you see a quarterback as talented as Deshaun Watson, as young as Deshaun Watson is, get traded? I would think they'd want 4 first-round picks. I mean, look what Stafford got. What Stafford got, 2 or 3? And he's like, how old is he? I think they'd want 4 first-round picks for him. Jamar Chase says, I want to be – well, that's never going to happen. Any news from training camp? I mean, Anchor. I mean, there's like, little stuff, right? Like they showed the highlights with Daniel Jones, and you're not going to hear much. I mean, some people came out and said that the offense looked bad for day one, and they didn't, but I don't read anything into that. It's the first day of practice. They're just practicing. They're getting to know one another. The one thing that I'm always going to look for, stay healthy. But no, there's no like major news outside of Benjamin. Benjamin was cut today. That was the big thing. But it was the first day of training camp. I haven't been live in forever. A lot of people asking me to go live. I said I'll go live. We'll talk some Giants football. But no, there's no major news today. DeGrom, man, thank you very much. It's hard being a father of 29 franchise. We got to get you back on the mound, man. DJ is going for 30-10. Let's go. I got him around 30-13, 30-14 in terms of picks. But yeah, I got him right around 30. I'm with you on that. I think he's gonna throw a good amount of touchdowns this year because I think the red zone offense is gonna be so much better. I think we're gonna create more turnovers on defense, creating shorter field position, and I just think the added weapons they're gonna be more explosive on offense. So and an extra game if he stays healthy this year, I think he's gonna throw right around 30 touchdowns. Jorge, man, thank you very much. I just want to say Daniel Jones because I'm a believer in Daniel Jones. I need the Giants fan base to like Daniel Jones. I like Daniel Jones. Listen, man, he's our guy. You've got no choice but to back your quarterback. Obviously a lot of fans don't believe in him, and they're going to say they don't think he's going to get the job done. But at the end of the day on Sunday, you got to believe in him, man. You got to hope that he's going to get the job done. He's our guy. I went through this with Eli Manning early on in his career, and Eli Manning was afforded a better opportunity, right? Because he had a much better. I'm not comparing the two. I'm comparing them coming up with the Giants because those were the two quarterbacks, since I've been watching the team that were drafted by the Giants that, you hoped could be a franchise quarterback. And I remember when Eli Manning came up, everybody doubted Eli Manning. But obviously the team was winning. So, people lived with it. They said, all right, he's growing, he's getting better. This is a bad team. And when it's a bad team, there's going to be a lot more pressure on the quarterback. And it's a different league. People expect immediate results. People didn't used to throw quarterbacks right into the fire. We didn't even throw Eli Manning right into the fire, right? I think he started about half the games his rookie year. So we'll see, man. I think Jones could take a step up this year, though. I really do. And S-Dubs, man, thank you very much. I believe it was a huge mistake to stop attending training camp in Albany. That place is – I never went to training camp in Albany. I know a lot of people say that. Bad Dog used to go all the time, he said, because he lives around there. That place is magical for the G-Men. Still have my autographed program from Eli Manning 2007 Super Bowl year. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I never went to training camp in Albany. I've gone to training camp here a few times, which is I like because it's closer for me. But I know most people said it was much better when it was at Albany. I guess it was more of a hands-on experience for the fans. Michael, man, thank you very much. I believe in him, and it's rare when I'm wrong about a player. Well, Michael, I hope you're right. What I'll say, and you know I'm being honest, last year I didn't believe in him. I didn't. And I don't even know, if I'm being completely honest, if I believe in him long-term. We'll see. I got to see him grow as a player, but I thought he was going to struggle last year because of all the reasons that I always said. So, especially after Barkley got hurt. I believe in him this year. I do. I think he's going to have a good year. I really do. I think he's going to have a good year. But I could be wrong. I mean, last year I believed in Evan Engram. I was wrong. Jose, what's going on? Hey, what's going on there? Gabe, man, glad to see you, buddy, man. One of my best subscribers. Glad to see you, Gabe. Let's go Mets, man. I know you're a big Mets fan. Jose says, hey, Chris, I think if Daniel Jones has 3 fumbles in the first 5 games, we could be in for a long season. Let's go. Well, yeah. Hopefully. Well, his fumbling got a lot better last year, but yeah, it's something he still needs to work on. Ban Elijah, please. What is will a Knicks draft pick be followed by a screaming book it? Oh, Mike, you better believe this year I'm going to be doing every Knicks. Well, as many Knicks games as I can. I miss one here and there, but I'm going to try to do, at least 70 of the 82 Knicks games. I love doing the Knicks games. That's a lot of fun for me. And I'm excited to see, what they do this fall. I still think they're going to bring in a big player via free agency or a trade. Chris, when is the next Mets stream? Not today. Not tomorrow because I'm going to be away. I'm going to try within the next 4 or 5 days. I'll do a Mets stream, but I can't tell you the day yet. And so Scott, man, thank you very much. They showed the fade to Slayton on the NFL Network. Oh, in practice today? I think Slayton could have a good year this year because he's not going to be asked to do as much. Last year was our number 1 wide receiver. Now I think he's going to be in a role where he should be, which is a wide receiver 2, and he's probably going to be the 4th or 5th most targeted receiver, right? You figure Galladay gets more targets. I think Barkley's going to get more targets, or at least as many. Shepard will probably get more targets, but I think he's going to get better opportunities. Yeah, the Braves play the Mets tonight. It's a huge game tonight. I'll definitely be watching it, but I'm not gonna stream it today. But I'll definitely be watching it. I was at the game yesterday. That was horrible. The one good thing is I got upgraded. I had my best seats ever at a Mets game, but the Mets played horrible. I got upgraded while I was there, though. And I got a Jeff McNeil autograph, which was pretty cool. Biggest breakout players for the offense, defense. Who are you most excited to see? What's going on there, Christian F? Biggest Andrew Thomas for the offense. I think that's the obvious answer. I think most people would tell you that, he was the 4th overall pick last year. He got better as the year progressed. I'll go Andrew Thomas as the breakout player on offense. And on defense, I mean, most people I think would say Xavier McKinney, because he's second year and he's going to be out on the field. But I don't know. I don't know how big of a role he's going to have on this team yet. We'll see. But most people would say him or Azeez Ojulari, the rookie. I'll lean Azeez Ojulari. I think he could have a good rookie year. I'm not going to set the expectations super high and be unrealistic, but I'll go with Ojulari. I could see 6.5, 7.5 sacks. And I'll go with Andrew Thomas on the offense. Do you know Philly? Of course I know Philly 500. I've worked with Philly 500 several times. He's awesome. See, I said Carter last year, and I would say Carter. I just worry about that injury. That's a very serious injury. But I do think if he's healthy, Carter's a really good fit for this team. Sorry, man. Thank you very much. That Sauce Scott profile pic is legend. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I think it is, Bart. I hate to say that week 1. And I guess technically it's not a must win because the Giants could obviously make an upset and make up for it. But it's as big of a week 1 matchup as the Giants have had in a while because it's their most winnable week 1 matchup they've had in a long time. And I think it's imperative for the Giants to get off to a good start. It's one of their weaker opponents this year, in my opinion, especially when you factor in that it's at home. It's close to a must win. I'm not going to label it a must win because if you start 0-1, you don't want to say to yourself the season's over. But it's a big game. I think they have to win that game. Who's the king? You are, DeGrom. You're the king. And you got it, Michael, man. Thanks for popping in. Do you think that after Xavier McKinney was in the lineup, we didn't play in a 3? Did you know that after Xavier McKinney was in the lineup, we didn't play in a 3-4-1? Wait, you're saying when McKinney played last year, once he came off the injury, we never played in the 3-4? Or do you mean when he was in the lineup, we didn't play in a 3-4? Because I find that very hard to believe. I mean, I don't have the game film in front of me, but I find that very hard to believe. Yeah, we are known for slow starts, which is precisely why we cannot get off to a slow start. Giants will be a top 5 defense. Said it first, Chris. I sure hope so, Brady, man. What do I think of Zach Wilson? I know that's like the big story right now with the Jets, right? Because he hasn't signed his contract yet. You know, Giants fans think we got it hard with Kadarius Toney because he got COVID. Your franchise quarterback's not at training camp, right? Because he hasn't signed his contract. But no, I think Zach Wilson's going to be good. I like Zach Wilson a lot, actually. You know, I said it during the draft. Like the one thing that I noticed about Zach Wilson that really impressed me, he's smooth, man. Like, you know, there's times I watch Daniel Jones and I like Daniel Jones. I think he'd be really good. But there's times where like I almost feel like Daniel Jones is like robotic, like with his reads. Like he almost like forces himself to scan the field. Like there's times when I feel that. With Zach Wilson, it's just smooth, man. When I watch the play, it's just you could tell he's like a natural. I like him. But with the Jets, I think they're building the team proper. He'll probably struggle. He's a rookie, but I like what you've done with your offensive line. I think you got good weapons. I think they're building something good for him. And yes, his mother is definitely hot. Having the second game in 4 days makes it more important to get that. I agree. Because being on the road in Washington, if you get off to an 0-1 start, I mean, we're going to be an underdog and at least a 50% chance we're going to get off to an 0-2 start. So I agree with you. It's a lot of pressure to win that first game, especially because it's at home. If it was in Denver, I wouldn't feel that way. But because it's at home, they have to travel across the country. We should win that game. So I do think it's a lot of pressure to win that first game. Yeah, no, there are times where I feel I'm not, you know, I feel that way with a lot of quarterbacks. I don't want to just single out Daniel Jones, but with Zach Wilson, I feel like he's going to be good. I like Zach Wilson a lot. Kevin, I'm going to have to look at that. You're saying we did not play 3-4 once. One snap from week 14 on. I'm not saying you're wrong. Obviously, I don't remember individual plays from each game. I'm going to have to look at that. Let's see what we got here. Do you think the Giants have a better chance to beat the Saints due to Michael Thomas? Of course. You can make – I mean, I think Kamara's their best weapon, but Michael Thomas is certainly their best wide receiver. So, and you can argue he's their best weapon. So, of course, you know, anytime you lose your number one wide receiver, we stand a better chance to win. Yeah. Is it a pushover? No, but we stand a better chance to win. Daniel Jones has the heart of a lion, but his mentality seems to hold him back sometimes on the field. I feel like he has the skill, but here's what I think, Jordan. I think there's times where Jones tries to do more than he should, especially in his rookie year. You saw that a lot. And early on, right? You think about the Steelers game when, you know, he made that stupid throw when they were on the 4-yard line. I think there's times he tries to do more than he should because of, at least somewhat because of the talent around him. Like he feels like he has to carry the team. And I also agree with you in a sense that I think at times he doesn't trust himself, right? You think about the Bucs game with the 2-point conversion. You think about the Bears. Was it the Bears game or was it it might have been the Rams game where he had the opportunity to run and he made that stupid throw. He's definitely not a finished quarterback. There's definitely still a lot of questions to his game. No, I don't think Daniel Jones is really bad. Next year with our cap space, if you had to pick one, would it be Shep or Peppers? Shep's gone. Shep's 100% gone next year, Dan. And I love Shep, but he's gone. We're not keeping him. We saved $7 million if we cut him. We're not keeping him. We just drafted it. We just drafted a wide receiver that could seamlessly transition to the slot. Shep's gone. And I would love to keep Peppers, but I think there's at least a solid chance they're both gone. But I think Shep's definitely gone. And DeGrom, man, thank you very much. If I played in the NFL, the defense would be a 6-1 because no poverty team would score on me as a quarterback. I would be able to throw 101 yards. Oh, DeGrom would be the best no matter what he did. Armando says, I'll be there week 1 with my best friend for life who is a Broncos fan. He's active duty Army and got off that weekend for the game. Giants win. He pays for my ticket. Broncos win. I pay for it. That's awesome, man. You're getting a free game, dude. That's awesome, Armando. You're going to get to watch the Giants for free. Yeah, I love Shep. Shep's one of my favorite players on the team. Ferris, I'm closing this out in like 5-10 minutes. But I always try to do like close to 2 hours when there's not a ton to talk about, maybe a little, less. I started at 2, I don't even remember what time I started, but it's 4:05. I started at, what time did I start? It's been over 2 hours. It's been a while. I haven't talked to you guys in a while. It's been fun, man. I just enjoy talking with you guys. Chris, if you had to bet on it, who is the face of the New York Giants in 2 years? Oh, the face of New York in 2 years. I mean, I don't know, Simon. I have no idea. I have to see how the New York Giants build around Daniel Jones and how he progresses this year. I'll give you a better answer at the end of the year. I wouldn't bet on that right now. I'll give you a better answer at the end of the year. Is it a make or break year for Evan Engram? I mean, it's always a make or break year for Evan Engram. We say that every year. So it's a very important year for Evan Engram. I'll say that. Not even necessarily for his future with the Giants, because I don't think he's going to be here, but for his future financially, it's a big year for Evan Engram. He has to prove he can stay healthy. He's in a contract year, and he has to prove he can hold on to the football. So, yeah, I think it's a huge year for Evan Engram. I don't think he's going to be a Giant no matter what. Like, even if he has 800 yards, doesn't have a lot of drops, I just don't see the Giants paying him. So I don't think he'll be with the Giants after this year. But, yeah, I think it's a huge year for Evan Engram for sure. Chris, we're going to have the number 1 pass defense this year. I'm not going to go that far. But I think we will have a very good pass defense. What's going on, bro? Question for you. Do you think after week 5, if Jones isn't up to par and we are 1-4, do you see a quarterback change? I mean, it's all circumstantial, but my what's the point? It would be my answer to you, right? Because Mike Glennon's not your future. So what's the point? Like, what do you accomplish by that? Like, I would still give Jones the opportunity to try to get the team back on track. So my answer to you is no. Unless Jones is hurt, or unless the Giants legitimately felt Mike Glennon gave them a chance to win football games. But Mike Glennon's not a good quarterback. So as a Giants fan, I would hope not. I don't want to see Mike Glennon. I know Mike Glennon cannot be a franchise quarterback. Daniel Jones, I don't know yet. He could be. He could. He may not be. But I want to see him play a full year this year with the weapons we got him in the second year in the offense. Baltimore Ravens fan, how was Zeitler for the Giants? Zeitler was solid for the Giants. Last year he was mediocre, though. I think he was mediocre, But I think it's not all his fault, though, right? Because he was with a bunch of rookies, right? Nick Gates had never played center before. Thomas was a rookie left tackle. Obviously Fleming wasn't that good on the right side. So a lot of times, like, it's the parts around you, right? Like, we saw that with Landon Collins. Like, Landon Collins was great with the Giants in 2016 when he almost won Defensive Player of the Year, and then that defense fell apart. So then they asked him to do more things than he was capable of, and you saw his weaknesses come out. And I think it was kind of similar with Zeitler. Like, I think Zeitler's a solid, good guard, and I think he was probably better than maybe what his stats indicate last year. I think he'll be a solid player for the Ravens. We should trade one of our first-round picks next year for one more O-line piece. I don't want to trade a first-round pick for an offensive lineman. I'd rather draft an offensive lineman next year. I don't want to trade a first-round pick for an offensive lineman. I have this weird feeling about the Giants this year. Like, I know they will be good. I hope so, man. But, yeah, I agree with you, Mark. I think Zeitler's going to – I don't know about great, but I think he's going to be good. I think he'll be a good lineman for them. I think it was a really good pickup for the Ravens. And they didn't pay him much. They signed him kind of before the market, like, filled out. They got him for I don't remember what the contract was, but it was a good deal. They didn't pay him much. It was a good signing by the Ravens. Ravens are a smart team, man. Yeah, you got it, Ravens 76 B more. Need first-round picks in case DJ doesn't work out. Exactly, John. You need the insurance to be able to trade up. But, God, it is 4:10, guys, and it is hot down here. But I had so much fun coming back on live. I hadn't done it in a while. I will be talking Giants in a couple more days on Talking Giants. And I got to get in touch with Bad Dog, figure out which day works best for us. Either August 1st or August 2nd, more than likely. And I'm not sure. I don't even know whose channel it was on last, so we'll figure that out. Whoever channel it was on last, it'll be on the other guy's channel. And, yeah, we'll be doing that show. I'll be live. talking to him, talking about the upcoming season, any storylines that come out in training camp. I'll try to have a video up tomorrow if anything breaks. I'm going to be in Atlantic City, but if, any good information, I'll definitely have a different video than normal. I'll have the phone out, but if not, you guys will definitely hear from me soon. I'm going to try to get the Giants content up and running regularly, and I'm looking forward, man, to talking football with you guys a lot this year, man. I have a lot of fun doing this and talking sports with you guys. So thank you guys so much for coming in. Thank you guys for all the support. And, it's going to be a fun season, man. I'm so excited for the Giants this year. I hope you guys are too. There's no more moral victories for me anymore. It's a year where I expect to compete. It's a year where I expect to compete and be able to take down some good teams. But, guys, be good. And thank you guys for all the support. Let's go, Giants. And if you guys are going to FanFest, I will be there on August 11th. So hopefully I get to see some of you guys there for that. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your summer, guys. Giants football is going to be here before you know it. As always, if you liked what you watch, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.